The shadow of a figure holding a dagger emerged, and with it came a voice that seemed to reverberate through the air, a voice tied to the legend of the assassin once hailed as the spear of the gods, Gungnir. Inside the apartment building, the hallways were filled with screams. Windows bore neat holes punched clean through the glass, and a handful of people lay collapsed on the floor, some unconscious, their bodies slumped in eerie silence. A scar-faced man with blonde hair hesitated as he drew his sword. It could not be. Impossible. Could the rumors really be true? Was Gungnir still alive? But then rage twisted his face, and he roared, his brows furrowing in fury. And yet, despite his bravado, the sight before him made no sense. Sunlight spilled across the floor, illuminating the footsteps of someone approaching. Several people lay sprawled out cold, foam bubbling at their lips. Tuji stood at the doorway, calm and composed as his eyes swept the scene inside. His voice, though low, carried a weight of disbelief. "Just a kid," he muttered under his breath. 5 left. The men, still conscious, lifted their weapons, surrounding him. One of them barked, "Do not screw with us, brat." Tuji set his school bag down on the ground, his tone unnervingly even. "I am in a hurry." A hulking bald man shoved a gun against his head. Tuji did not move. Instead, he spoke softly, "I do not want to be late for school." The bald man's voice broke into a growl, confused and irritated. "The hell did you just?" Before he could finish, Tuji's arm snapped backward in a blur. A crimson slash cut clean across the man's torso, leaving him no time to react. The scar-faced blonde man gasped, his voice breaking in shock as he witnessed the scene unfold. The bald man crumpled to the ground. Tuji shifted into a combat stance, his voice carrying an unsettling calm. "Sorry," but his eyes flared with a crimson light as his voice echoed, otherworldly. "I will make this quick." The remaining men raised their guns and aimed, shouting curses. "You bastard, we will kill you." Tuji's fist connected squarely with one of them, the man's eyes bulging wide before he could even attempt to resist. From there, Tuji moved like a phantom, dismantling each attacker one by one. None of them could keep up with his strikes. The scar-faced blonde man raised his sword, dread tightening in his chest. He was too fast. He brought the blade down in a clean arc, aimed directly at Tuji's head. But Tuji tilted his body aside in the blink of an eye. His glowing eyes locked onto the scar-faced man. The blade slammed into the floor and split in two, the sharp crack echoing through the room. Still hunched in the posture of his failed swing, the scar-faced man did not have a chance to react before Tuji appeared behind him, fist raised. By the time he registered the presence at his side, Tuji's knuckles were already inches from his face. One clean blow sent the scar-faced blonde flying across the room, his body smashing against the wall. His face swelled red instantly from the punch. The blonde, scarred man thought to himself, "This speed, this strength, this is the real deal." A flash of thought streaked through his mind, accompanied by the image of crimson fluid Gungnir. Tuji smoothed his clothes, unhurried, and watched him slump to the cold floor. Shadow swallowed his face, only the red gleam in his eyes visible. Tuji straightened his tie and spoke. No, he picked up the school bag that had been left by the door, his voice steady. "Right now." Small, bright memories surfaced, his family laughing together, a close girl friend draping an arm around his shoulders. He grasped the doorknob and twisted it. A thin slit of light spilled in from outside. Tuji turned back and smiled, wide and sincere. "I want to protect this quiet life. I am just a high school kid." A voice rang out across the white space, and time seemed to rewind. Images flashed, hands clutching different guns, firing toward a target, and a strange narration war. From the opposite vantage, men with rifles emptied rounds in succession, a voice recounting plague, ideology, and economic fracture. One of the gunmen screamed as his weapon was sliced clean in two. The narrator intoned that in a world where order was collapsing, there was one who made the powerful tremble. Each man in black saw his life ended by a red slash. The silhouette of the dagger-wielding figure who'd cut them down came into focus as the voice declared, "The spear of the gods." A man with red eyes, cold and hard, held a blood-soaked blade in that dark tableau, and the narration called him the strongest a killer. A villa bathed in sunlight and ringed by trees came into view. The guards shouted, "Chairman, this way." Akaji stalked forward, furious, his voice low and tight as he demanded to know what was happening. "There were only supposed to be 2, he spat. "Have they taken out all my guards?" Rage twisted his words as he barked orders at the remaining men. Protect me at all costs. I am not dying here. A guard close to him took a bullet straight through the head. Akaji froze. The man collapsed against him. Akaji forced himself up to look behind and muttered. What? Two other guards joined him as they stared at the figure across from them, who taunted, "What? You are out of bullets." Tuji picked up the smoking gun that still emitted a thin wisp of white smoke and asked, coolly, "What were you planning to shoot with this piece? Maybe you should rethink the firepower you arm your guards with." His eyelids were half closed. His tone detached as he addressed the man sprawled on the ground, Chairman Akaji. Akaji's face contorted. Terror broke from him in a shout as he saw Tuji clearly. Without hesitation, he barked an order to the two guards beside him, fire. A hand squeezed the trigger. Muzzle flash flared bright as spent casings flew free. Tuji did not flinch at the bullets. He closed the distance in a blur, weaving between the streams of fire as he ran. He moved so fast that a long red streak lingered in the air behind him. Suddenly, a brutal burst of red-white light detonated in the space between them. Tuji blasted past two guards, dropping low to the floor as his dagger sliced across the throat of one. The remaining guard recoiled in horror when crimson fluid sprayed from his companion. Before he could gather his wits, Tuji carved another crimson streak across the back of that guard's neck. He only managed to gasp. Too fast. Akaji froze, staring at the spray of red from the two fallen guards. He saw the dagger in Tuji's hand, and a sudden chill ran through him. It was the blade carved with two crows. Could it be? Akaji went pale as he looked up at Tuji standing before him, stammering, "Do not tell me you are," he bellowed the name, Gungnir. Tuji looked down at him and replied quietly, "This feels more natural." Akaji sat in stunned disbelief, muttering to himself that if Gungnir was here, then perhaps fate itself wanted him dead. Tuji stepped closer and answered, "Who knows about killing? But hey, if you had not done so many terrible things, none of this would have happened." Desperation pushed Akaji's hand up as he begged, "Please spare me. I will do anything you tell me. Please." Before he could finish, another man's bullet punched through Akaji's raised hand. Tuji stood motionless and called softly to the newcomer, "Hate." The man who'd just appeared had his face splattered with red. He grinned, a lollipop stuck in his mouth, and said, "No can do." Hate chuckled as he stepped forward with his gun. "I heard you stole one of our old man's secret treasures. He has been furious, so that is why he is so mad." Akaji went even paler and stammered, "How did you know about that?" Hate answered nonchalantly, "I do not know anything about that, right, Gungnir?" Tuji lifted the dagger, his gaze cold as he told Akaji, "We were only following orders to kill you. We are just assassins doing what we are told." Hate smirked, raised his gun, and fired. Akaji slumped to the floor as blood poured from his head. Hate shrugged and, "Done." Tuji's voice cut in, "Hey, Hate interrupted. Hey, at least let me take out the bot." His feet stepped through the spreading dark red on the floor. The glow of a phone screen lit up nearby. Tuji's attention was drawn by the photo on the phone. He glanced down to look. The photo revealed Akaji carrying a young brown-haired girl, a stark contrast to the sight outside, where he lay sprawled in a pool of blood. Tuji lifted his head and looked ahead, silently reflecting, "So this is the last time." He stepped forward, leaving red streaks of fluid on the floor, thinking to himself, "From today onward, I retire from this life." The modern high-rise buildings gleamed under the bright moon, the deep blue night sky stretched above, and red lights flickered atop the rooftops. Smoke curled from a pot of cooking food, accompanied by a cheerful voice saying, "All right then." Mirai watched her cooking with delight, her voice light and happy. "Once the broth is ready, just add some butter and let it simmer a bit, and it is done." She giggled softly and glanced at a photo placed nearby the dish Tuji liked the most. She wondered quietly if he would enjoy it. The bark of a dog announced someone's arrival, and a cheerful voice called out, "I am back." In a car speeding through the glittering night, laughter rang out, easy and carefree. Hate smirked from the driver's seat, his expression indifferent despite having personally eliminated nearly all of Chairman Akaji's guards. "That is our Tuji, all right," he muttered. Tuji changed clothes in the back seat, his body marked with countless overlapping scars. A voice announced formally, "Tuji, spear number 00, one of the great Will Gungnir." Tuji bowed his head and spoke softly, "Because I promised the old man." He said, "Once this mission is complete, I could retire." He paused in thought, then added, "Those guys. They looked terrified when they realized it was me." He recalled the shocked, horrified expressions of Akaji and his guards. Hate chuckled. For an assassin, that is an honor, you know. Great will the organization controlling the underworld. Tuji's figure loomed over the fallen, his gaze lifting to the red moon, a voice echoing in his mind. Everyone knows Gungnir, the one called the strongest. He pressed his lips together with a tinge of sadness, but it would be a lonely life now, since he was retiring Tuji. The pedestrian light turned green. People passed by the car. Tuji spoke quietly. I am tired of this job. He lowered his head, speaking softly as laughter and joy played outside the glass. I want to become completely normal. Hate glanced back, his words making Tuji feel slightly embarrassed. You won't be working in the underworld anymore, right? Ever since you met Mirai. Hearing her name brought a faint smile to Tuji's lips. Mirai. He wondered if she was cooking dinner right now. A voice echoed across the blackness of memory. Hey, Tuji. Mirai's figure appeared in the car, offering softly, let us live together. The three of us, you, me and John. Images flashed in Tuji's mind of him and Mirai playing joyfully with their little dog on the grassy field. He threw a frisbee high and far, making the dog jump in surprise, and she laughed, tipping her head back in delight. Later, the three of them rested on the grass, the dog lying across Tuji's stomach, and he thought quietly to himself that being with Mirai brought a warmth he had never known. Memories of grueling and harsh training resurfaced, but Tuji reflected that this warmth was something entirely new in his life. Hate sat up front, questioning him softly. For an assassin like him, was a normal life even possible? Could someone whose existence was built on killing ever be ordinary? Tuji remained silent, listening as Hate spoke, focused on buttoning up his shirt neatly. With each button fastened perfectly, Tuji spoke. Tonight, we will have beef stew, my favorite dish, cooked by Mirai. He then reached for a bouquet of red roses placed nearby and added softly, for this reason. He straightened and spoke with firm determination. Today, I will propose to Mirai. The high-rise buildings glimmered under the night sky, moonlight spilling across their rooftops, machinery humming faintly on the 30th floor. Tuji stepped forward, each footfall echoing his inner thoughts. All right, let us begin. Dressed in a tailored suit, his hair slicked and precise, he resolved firmly, from today onward, I will try to be a normal person. He held the bouquet of red roses behind his back, trembling slightly, sweat beading his flushed face. Anxiety tightened his chest more than any mission ever had he imagined rehearsing the words, I will marry you. Tuji gripped the doorknob and slowly pushed the door open. The interior was dim, lit only by a few scattered lights, and a sudden thought struck him sharply, the smell of blood. Mirai's smiling figure appeared in his mind, holding the dog, and his heart skipped. No, it could not be. Tuji raised his dagger, pressed close to the wall, every muscle tensed, eyes scanning the room with full alertness. He recalled the moment in the car when Mirai had quietly suggested, let us live together, the three of us, Tuji, me, and John. At that time, her head had bowed slightly, a shadow of hesitation in her expression. I do not know the details of your work, she had said, her voice tentative in the dark. Then she had looked up, smiling softly, the evening sun casting its glow across her face. I just want you to be happy, Tuji. Those words hit him like a jolt. His eyes widened in stunned amazement as he looked at her in memory. Her hand had rested on his, her voice echoing in his mind, so stay with me. Forever. Gathering his resolve, Tuji vowed to himself, I will start a new life with Mirai. He kicked the door open and rushed inside, shouting her name, Mirai. But he froze, horror-stricken, as the sight before him registered. Moonlight streaming through the window illuminated Mirai's motionless body lying on a pool of red. He clenched his brow in agony and horror, his eyes wide and stunned. Her eyelids were half closed, a smear of red at the corner of her mouth, hair splayed loose, and her hands were stained with that same dark fluid. Their little dog John lay motionless on Mirai's stomach, utterly lifeless. Beside them sat the familiar red-streaked dagger. Tuji sprinted forward and dropped to his knees beside her, his voice breaking. Mirai, why did this happen? How could it be like this? He shouted in pain and fury. Why? Who killed Mirai? From the doorway where he would just come in, Hate stood with his gun trained on him. Tuji growled, Hate. Hate smiled, a lollipop still in his mouth, amused that Tuji had recognized him. As expected, he said. You did notice me, Tuji. I have never seen an assassin better than you. He kept the barrel aimed at Tuji and continued, but if you really think you can be free, then you are a fool. You could have helped rebuild this rotting world. So I killed the woman who would make you fall and took you away from her." Moonlight picked out Akaji's tear-streaked, horrified face in Tuji's memory. Hate looked up and said, "You want freedom. Odin will never allow it." No sooner had the words fallen than a bullet punched into Tuji's gut. Red soaked through his white shirt. His eyes still filled with anguish, he heard Hayate's voice, tinged with regret yet cold. It was a pity he would no longer be their ally. Tuji lay beside Mirai as Hayate's words echoed around the room. He whispered once, voice hollow and distant, "Goodbye, Gungnir." His gaze emptied. Hayate had been right, he would been a fool. Tuji ground his teeth, despair swallowing him. All along it had been impossible. How could someone like him ever live an ordinary life? He turned to Mirai, racked with guilt and self-reproach he had dragged her into this. Tuji forced his failing hand toward her and murmured, "Sorry, Mirai." Then his hand slipped and fell. Life left him. Only one last thought remained. A killer like me should never have been allowed to dream. Faint, indistinct words began to form before his eyes. Two blurred figures resolved into shadow. One voice asked, "Can he be used?" Confusion and fatigue flickered through his thoughts what was going on. The voice grew clearer, the light brightening. His brain still worked. Tuji, dimly aware, wondered who was speaking. He cracked his eyes open again as the man urged, "Hurry, there is no time. Carry him out." Tuji, still groggy and disoriented, whispered to himself, "I." A voice rang out, urgent and panicked, calling his name. "Can you hear me, hey?" Confused, Tuji strained to listen, trying to place the voice in his mind. Whose voice could it be? He forced his eyes open again, heavy with exhaustion and doubt. It was not Mirai's voice. It was not Hayate's either. As his tired eyes focused, Tuji realized something startling and thought to himself, "This is." Suddenly, he bolted upright in bed, making the doctor and nurse jump back in alarm. He clutched his face in bewilderment, whispering to himself, "I am alive. What is happening? Is this a dream?" He swung his legs over the side of the bed and shouted, "Hey, Mirai, where are you?" The doctor hurried forward, panicked, trying to calm him. "Kaido, please, if you stand up so suddenly." Tuji scanned the room, his mind racing. Something was not right. Where was he? His vision spun as he caught sight of a mirror across the room. A sense of urgency gripped him. He had to get back to Mirai. When he saw his reflection, Tuji froze, eyes wide in shock and fear. His own face stared back at him, young, innocent, filled with terror. This is me." Tuji blinked in confusion as the doctor called his name, Fujiwara Kaido-san. An image of his head from the scans appeared, accompanied by the doctor's voice. All test results were perfectly normal. The doctor smiled warmly at Fujiwara Kaido. "Your recovery over the past month has been remarkable. It is highly likely that your lost memories will return once you resume your previous lifestyle. You can be discharged tomorrow." Memories of the day he had intended to propose to Mirai resurfaced the scene of her lying motionless on the floor, John at her side. Fujiwara Kaido thought silently. That was the day I abandoned being a killer and sank into total despair. The memory of hate driving a bullet into his abdomen also returned. Fujiwara Kaido reflected, Tuji was shot by my only friend Hate, and when I woke up, the upper half of his body was the one he had inhabited, while the lower half belonged to his own soul. I have become someone else, now called Fujiwara Kaido. The hospital towered beneath the clear blue sky. Fujiwara Kaido considered all that he did not yet understand, but from the information he had gathered while hospitalized, some things had become clear. He saw himself panicked, staring ahead as the lights from the front of the room shone directly onto him. Fujiwara Kaido recalled, 2 months ago, the original owner of this body, Fujiwara Kaido, was walking home after school when a car came hurtling toward him. In his mind, he replayed the scene. A reckless driver struck him and fled, leaving him with a severe traumatic brain injury. Images of the operating room surfaced, surgeons desperately trying to save him. He underwent brain surgery and remained in a coma for a month. The memory concluded with him staring into a mirror. Astonished at himself, I woke up. Rubbing his head, Fujiwara Kaido thought about the lingering concern which surgery was it, and which doctor performed it. He had heard that the surgeon had already left the hospital. Images of himself lying in a pool of blood resurfaced. He reflected, this seems absurd, but the voice I heard just before losing consciousness. The fleeting thought flashed through his mind again, the voice he heard right before slipping into unconsciousness. He frowned, still holding his head, reassured that his brain remained intact if this is indeed the truth. The memory of Mirai and Tuji lying motionless returned once more. Fujiwara Kaito thought, then this brain of mine. After Mirai and I were killed, what actually happened? Tears glistened and fell from his eyes. The doctor's expression mirrored shock and confusion as he looked at Fujiwara Kaito, silently asking why. Tears streamed down Kaito's face as he clenched his jaw, his expression heavy with grief. He whispered painfully to himself, Fujiwara-san. Mirai. Fujiwara Kaito stepped out of the examination room. Outside, a man and a woman leapt to their feet, shouting his name, Kaito. Fujiwara Kyoko, overcome with emotion, looked at him with joy. I am so glad. The thought that my child could return to a normal life felt like a dream. A voiceover introduced her, Kaito's mother, Fujiwara Kyoko, homemaker. Fujiwara Taro's voice trembled with relief as he spoke up joyfully. That is right. When we first heard about the accident, we did not know what would happen. Come on, Kaito, let us go home. A quiet narration followed, Kaito's father, Fujiwara Taro manga artist. Kyoko turned her face away, discreetly wiping the corner of her eye. Her voice carried a note of worry. But are you truly feeling okay, leaving the hospital while your memories still have not come back? Taro turned to comfort her, his hand gently brushing away her tears. Come now, the doctor already told us he will regain his memories gradually once he is back to his normal routine. Both parents turned to look at Fujiwara Kaito, Taro's tone softer now as he asked, This will be better for Kaito, won't it? Kaito stayed silent, listening to every word, his eyes fixed only on the palms of his hands. His gaze grew distant and heavy. Right now, no one doubts that I am Fujiwara Kaito. He clenched his fist tightly, a quiet calculation forming in his mind. If I have become this way because of someone's will, there must be some method of contact. His thoughts continued, so for now I will. Kaito smiled brightly. Yes, I would really like to go home. But in his mind, the plan took shape. I have decided to live as Fujiwara Kaito. His eyes widened with amazement as he stared at the house before him. Taro placed a reassuring hand on his back. Here we are. This is our home, Kaito. Kaito thought to himself, the Fujiwara family seems to be quite well off. The three of them stepped inside the stately mansion together. Taro offered calm reassurance. Do not worry. You will remember in time. Kyoko followed just behind, her voice soft and welcoming. Welcome home, Kaito. Looking at the two parents before him, Fujiwara Kaito recalled the original owner's life father Taro, a fairly successful manga artist. Mother Kyoko, the daughter of a renowned doctor. Kaito, their only son. Kyoko smiled warmly, reminding him, Your room is upstairs on the right. He snapped out of his thoughts and replied a little awkwardly, Yes. Thank you. Fujiwara Kaito opened the door and peeked inside, taking in the room's arrangement. It was simple, a bed with white sheets, a desk holding a desktop computer, and a bookshelf pressed against the wall. So this is Fujiwara Kaito's room, he mused. The shelves held both books and manga, with a few small models perched on top. Neatly organized, he thought, but nothing particularly stands out. The large computer monitor on the desk caught his eye. Just an ordinary high school student, it seems. Memories of Kyoko and Taro's emotional faces outside the hospital surfaced again. Both my parents look so worried, he thought. Images of the three of them standing before the house also rose in his mind. They have been visiting me often. This Kaito must have been deeply loved. And Mirai's voice echoed faintly from the car, rewinding in his mind, I just want Tuji to be happy. Fujiwara Kaito stared at the photograph neatly placed next to the computer, a knot of conflicting thoughts in his chest. Is this what Mirai meant by normal happiness? The large frame held many smaller photos. Kaito resolved silently, If I can, I do not want to make people like this sad. As he carefully examined each picture, one in particular caught his attention. It was different. Pinned slightly apart from the others, the photo showed four people standing closely together. There were Fujiwara Taro and Fujiwara Kyoko, alongside Kaito and another woman. Three of them. And who is this? This house should only have the three of us, he wondered. Kaito studied the photo, thinking to himself, it seems Tuji would need to learn more about Kaito. Outside, the night sky was deep blue, the full moon glowing brilliantly as clouds drifted lazily, the space around calm and peaceful. A hand tapped the facial recognition sensor on a device. A voice spoke from the gadget, tomorrow morning. A security guard sitting in a car called out helplessly to the person pressing the button. Miss. The red-haired woman did not turn her head, replying instead, the front doors opening, kawaii. What is it? Stepping out of the car, he tried to reason with her. Kaido-kun just got discharged yesterday. Is not it a bit early? The red-haired woman paid no attention and continued walking inside. Kaido and I have known each other since childhood. Do not interfere. Fujiwara Taro leaned out to see who it was. I see. Yuzuha-chan. Akagi Yuzuha beamed brightly. Uncle, it has been so long. How's Kaido? He was discharged yesterday, right? He straightened up, replying softly, Kaido is. At that moment, Fujiwara Kaido peeked from behind Taro, speaking calmly, she is the one from the photo. Seeing him, Yuzuha immediately dashed forward and threw her arms around him, laughing brightly. I was so worried about you, Kaido. I am glad you are okay. Fujiwara Kaido froze, unable to speak, letting Akagi Yuzuha hug him. Fujiwara Kyoko chuckled quietly. They are still as close as ever, huh? Kaido glanced at her muttering something, thinking to himself, this closeness. And my parents' reactions. So she really is Kaido's childhood friend. She is energetic, all right. Yuzuha grinned and said cheerfully, of course, great. Then today I will drive you to school. Fujiwara Kaido replied with a weak, resigned thanks, while inwardly marveling, a limousine. She is even richer than the Fujiwara family. Kawaii tried to interject. Yuzuha-chan, Kaido is still, but before he could finish, she cut in immediately. He lost his memory, did not he? I will take care of him. Then Akagi Yuzuha spun around, pointing behind her, her excitement palpable. Tonight, we will celebrate Kaido's full recovery. Do not forget to finish your manuscript. Uncle, we are off now. Fujiwara Kyoko looked at the scene helplessly and murmured to Fujiwara Taro, we will just have to work hard, won't we? The scene shifted to the school, where the sky was heavy and overcast. A voice rang out clearly, listen up, you guys. Shimazaki Tetsu removed a cigarette from his mouth and spoke. So, the plan. Finally. Tonight, we move forward. The brown-haired boy hesitated to speak, while the blonde-haired companion looked bewildered. Tetsukin, are you really going through with this? Yuzuha is the daughter of a huge conglomerate's chairman. Upon hearing this, Tetsu's expression darkened, and his voice carried a threat. Are you all hesitating now? The boy stammered, trying to explain. And no, that is not it. But if we get caught, we will. Shimazaki Tetsu stood up, looking down from above at the subordinates below. He spoke quietly but firmly. We have already taken their money. There is no running away now. He muttered under his breath, causing the others to flinch in fear. And no, that is not what I meant. Tetsu turned toward the railing and noticed something in the courtyard. A black car had just arrived. He remarked, that is Yuzuha's car. Through his line of sight, he saw Akagi Yuzuha dragging Fujiwara Kaido along and wondered, who is that? The brown-haired boy explained, Tetsuya-san, that is Yuzuha's childhood friend. Apparently the Fujiwara boy. He had an accident and has been out of school for a few months. Shimazaki Tetsu smirked, cigarette dangling from his lips. Fujiwara, huh? Yuzuha waved cheerfully. All right, Kaido, see you after class. Kaido forced a small smile in response. Yeah, thank you. Watching her disappear into the distance, Fujiwara Kaido thought to himself, Yuzuha. She really is a thoughtful childhood friend. I wonder what it would be like if she had a sister. She ran off happily to greet another female classmate along the way. Kaido stepped into the classroom, the space buzzing with activity. He felt a pang of nervousness. This is the classroom, and it is my first time attending a normal school. He approached a male student and asked, where's my seat? The boy with glasses looked up and smiled politely. Oh, Fujiwara, you just got discharged, right? Then the boy's expression turned pale as he looked at those appearing in front of him. A voice called out sharply, hey. Shimazaki Tetsu placed a hand on Fujiwara Kaido's shoulder. Kaido was slightly startled as he listened to Tetsu's words. You do not have a seat. Fujiwara Kaido turned his head with a polite smile. So where should I sit? Shimazaki Tetsu's voice darkened. Come with us, Fujiwara Kaido. Confused, Kaido followed them out to the rooftop. Still unsure were they really taking him outside. Was his seat out here? As he walked with them, he tried to make sense of their constant grins. At first he would thought they were being kind, leading him to his desk, but a sudden thought chilled him. Could they be Kaido's enemies? He asked the brown-haired boy quietly. "Where's my seat?" The boy burst out laughing and jabbed at Tetsu. "Tetsu-chan, this guy's clueless." Half-lit cigarette in hand, Tetsu snatched it free and tossed it aside. He swaggered up to Kaido and said bluntly, "Listen, Fujiwara, today. If you bow and apologize, we will only beat you a little. That is punishment for getting close to my Yuzuha." Kaido's expression went cold as he repeated, almost mechanically, "Your Yuzuha." Tetsu raised his chin arrogantly. "That is right. If you understand, do not ever come near Yuzuha again, got it? And if you keep hanging around her," he leaned close and hissed in his ear, "I will hurt Yuzuha and kill you." A shadow fell over Kaido's face. Disappointment creased his features as he realized, so they really are enemies. The others stared at him in baffled anger. Kaido spoke up, calm but firm, "I am sorry, but I do not want to use this body to harm anyone." The words pulled the pinned photo of 4 people back into his mind. Standing before them, he tried to negotiate, "If possible, never touch me or Yuzuha again, and we can settle this peacefully." "How about that?" Tetsu's cronies spat and jeered. "What did you say? You mocking us?" Veins bulged on Tetsu's forehead as fury flared. "I like your nerve, Fujiwara, then fine, as you wish. I will kill you." With that, he launched a straight punch at Kaido's face. Kaido stood perfectly still, letting the wind lift his hair as raindrops began to patter down. A fleeting thought flashed through the white haze of his mind. What is this? Fujiwara. Kaido calmly analyzed the punch coming at him was Tetsu, aiming a right hook at his face. His center line was completely open. Was he trying to bait a counterattack? Even so, this was far too reckless. After assessing, Kaido quickly stepped in, weaving past the attack, and landed a straight strike to Shimazaki Tetsu's stomach, silently thinking, too slow. Tetsu spat out saliva in shock, his face paling, and his cronies froze, horrified by the scene. Kaido stepped back into a ready stance, calculating silently, so this is serious. Then he launched again, his hand coming straight from Tetsu's chin upward. A thought flickered through his mind. This is. In a swift motion, he grabbed Tetsu, throwing him backward. Tetsu hit the ground hard, sprawling across the wet floor. Kaido thought, a normal world. Fragile, yet peaceful. Blood trickled from Tetsu's mouth, leaving him completely unconscious as Kaido gripped his shirt. Suddenly, Akagi Yuzuha slammed the door open and called out loudly, "Kaido." Her eyes sparkled, bathed in sunlight breaking through the cleared rain. Only then did Kaido notice her presence. He turned slightly and called softly, "Yuzuha." She stared at him, half in disbelief, her gaze fixed intently. "Is he really Kaido?" The sunlight caught his face, his damp hair glistening, and Kaido met her eyes silently, letting the moment linger. Yuzuha suddenly spoke up, her voice tinged with surprise. "Wait. You did all this?" Kaido froze for a moment, caught off guard by the question. The next second, he immediately denied it, shaking his head. No, it is not like that. I was just skipping class on the rooftop when I got caught up in their fight." She believed him instantly and continued, "I see. I heard Shimazaki and his gang dragged you onto the rooftop, so I figured it must have been like that." The blonde-haired boy nearby lay foaming at the mouth, and Kaido glanced at him briefly, thinking silently, "Shimazaki. That is him." Yuzuha reassured herself further, muttering under her breath, "Of course. There is no way he would do something like this." Then, all at once, her eyes widened as if she would noticed something alarming. "Kaido, your collar. You are bleeding," she shouted. Kaido looked down at the stain and replied calmly, "That is not my blood." Before he could say more, she suddenly grabbed his hand. Frowning, she scolded softly, "Do not make me worry like that. If you disappeared too, I." Her voice faltered, revealing the sadness she had been holding back. Kaido thought to himself for a moment, then broke the silence. "Sorry for making you worry." After that, he and Yuzuha stepped toward the rooftop exit. "I am fine. Let us just go back to class." Before leaving, Kaido cast a cold glance over his shoulder. The next moment, a voice full of anger rang out, "That bastard." Shimazaki, gripping his phone, muttered to himself, "I won't let him get away with this. I will never forgive that trash." Later that evening, in the brightly lit Fujiwara residence, the family celebrated Kaido's return. Toru spoke cheerfully. "Kaido, congratulations on being discharged." Kaido, slightly surprised, replied politely, "Thank you." In front of a table full of food, Kyoko smiled and urged him, "Come on, eat up. I made a lot of your favorite dishes." Toru laughed loudly, adding, "Tonight, I will drink without worrying about the deadline." Kaido hesitated slightly, thinking, is this really okay? He sat across from them, still bewildered, watching his parents laugh together. In that fleeting moment, Kaido's brown eyes softened a little, and a sudden, loud laugh echoed in his mind. The image of Mirai smiling brightly, her eyes crinkled in joy, flashed in his memory. "Tuji, you do not need to eat so fast. This stew won't disappear. Is it good?" Tuji was shoveling a few more bites into his mouth and replied, "This is insanely good." Mirai, hearing him, could not help but think happily to herself, "I am so glad. I will make this dish again." Suddenly, he paused and held the bowl out in front of him, his eyes glancing silently toward the dog nearby. As Mirai approached the kitchen, Tuji called out softly, "Hey, Mirai." He smiled gently, looking down at the spoon in his hand, wondering if a family could really share moments like this, laughing and enjoying each other's company. Kaido smiled inwardly, feeling a deep sense of happiness. This is family. A little later, Kyoko glanced anxiously at her phone. Yuzuha's late again. This afternoon she said she would be back late, but Toru, sitting beside her, spoke up, "The kid has been through a lot. She always tries to stay strong, but she must be struggling inside." Kaido fell silent for a moment, deep in thought. A strange, unexplainable unease began to rise in him. What is this feeling? Just then, his phone suddenly rang. On the screen, the caller ID displayed Yuzuha. Kaido turned and quickly answered, "Hello. Where are you right now?" Instead of Yuzuha's voice, a mocking male voice came through. "You are Fujiwara, right?" He stayed silent for a moment before responding calmly, "I knew it was you." Images from the rooftop flashback instantly surged into his mind. Shimazaki's sneering voice barked orders. "Come here. Go alone, to the place I tell you now." He glanced toward his henchman. "If you refuse or tell anyone, you know what will happen, right?" Not far from him, Kaido caught sight of Yuzuha and another young man, both tied up and blindfolded. "What is going to happen to my friend?" Suddenly, Yuzuha's voice echoed in his mind. "Kaido, do not come here." Kaido narrowed his eyes, realizing she was being kidnapped. Then a harsh curse rang out. "You idiot, I told you to gag her already." Kaido stayed quiet for a moment, thinking, and finally said, "I understand. Tell me where I have to go." Shimazaki's tone turned smug. "Good. I will only say this once. Listen carefully. It is a factory at..." Moments later, Kaido hung up. Toru, having overheard, asked, "Did Yuzuha call, son?" Kaido quickly shook his head. "No. Just a friend." He made up an excuse, explaining that the friend wanted to give him a little gift to celebrate his discharge, so he would be stepping out briefly. Toru, slightly surprised, asked, "Now?" Kaido smiled brightly. "Yes, I will be quick. Wait for me, Dad, Mom." Under the full moon's bright glow that night, somewhere in Tokyo, an abandoned factory stood silent. Shimazaki chuckled gleefully, staring at his phone. At the same time, someone suddenly called him. "Hey." Sue sat with his legs crossed, voice tight as he spoke again. "Tetsuya, who gave you the right to make that call?" The man glared up at him. "You kidding me?" Shimazaki stammered, "Sue, you are here." The next instant, Sue hurled a lighter straight at his face. "This is not the place for games," he snapped. Sue's tone turned grim as he warned, "If you pull stupid stunts and the cops show up, we are in deep shit." Shimazaki straightened and swallowed, voice shaky. "I am sorry, man," but he hesitated, weighing his next words. Then he pressed on, "Make Yuzuha tell us where the old man stashes his goods. That is an order from the organization, right?" He pleaded, "I am the one who kidnapped her. Cut me some slack, please. She is a spoiled kid. She keeps insisting she knows nothing." Shimazaki looked at Suu and admitted plainly, "That is why I called Fujiwara." An image flashed of Yuzuha and Kaido going to school together. Yuzuha has a childhood friend. If we hurt that kid in front of her, she will spill everything without thinking. He narrowed his eyes. "If we pull this off, they promised me a spot in the organization. I am not doing this half-assed." Sue only smiled and glanced back. "Fine. But you understand, if that guy can't get the little lady to talk, right, Inagami?" Inagami tightened his grip on the weight in his hand and hoisted it up. Outside the factory, two of Shimazaki's goons were sitting and gossiping when suddenly a massive noise burst out, shadows moving across the windows. With one swing of the weight, Inagami tore through part of the wall. The men outside fell silent. Inagami's eyes were rimmed red with blood. He growled, "This is my job." Shimazaki watched the scene, frozen in terror, sweat pouring down his face. Suddenly someone shouted, "You people." Yuzuha opened her mouth wide and dared them. "You think you will get away with this? This is a crime." Kawaii, beside her, worriedly tried to intervene. "Milady, do not provoke them." He turned to reassure her, "Someone will come get us out of here." But Shimazaki stamped Kawaii to the ground, kicking him hard. He barked as he stood over him, "Do not butt in with me, and Yuzuha, I will kill you, trash." Shimazaki barked an order at once. "We do not need this kid, take him somewhere else." One of the henchmen answered, "Yes, sir." Yuzuha cried out in panic, "Stop." He suddenly went wide-eyed and seized Yuzuha by the chin. "Now tell us where you hide the goods," he demanded. "You do not want to see Fujiwara die, do you?" She grit her teeth and shot back. "I told you I do not know anything about that. If you keep this up, I will bite my tongue and die." Shimazaki cursed under his breath, furious. At the same time, Suu, on the other side, gave a cold command, "When that Fujiwara shows his face, bring him here immediately." The henchmen chorused, "Yes, Suu." Suu could not hide a grin as he thought, "Come on, Fujiwara, hurry over." Shimazaki, picturing the force at their disposal, felt pleased. "We have got 40 gangsters," he muttered. "And a monster band forever from pro wrestling for killing someone right in the ring Inagami." He clenched his teeth, thinking, better let Inagami handle it, then Yuzuha will talk. At that moment, sneakers appeared. 2 henchmen were gossiping in the corner. "That is how we got 5 million old men are easy." Only one greenhorn looked up. Under the moon, blood red in the sky, Kaido walked forward calmly. The greenhorn snapped, "Who the hell are you?" Kaido ignored him. The kid stepped closer to warn, "Back off, kid. If you are playing hide and seek, go do it somewhere else." Meanwhile, a blonde one guessed aloud, "What is with this guy? The short one must be that Fujiwara Tetsu mentioned." Kaido raised a hand suddenly. In a blur, he struck each of them in turn, and though it took only seconds, he hit the 3 men right in the throat. 2 other henchmen watching broke into a sweat. They were stunned that in a flash Kaido had felled 3 grown men. They reacted quickly and lunged forward, snarling, "You little bastard, who are you? I will kill you," before they knew when, Kaido's hand was already at one man's face. He plunged forward, knocking one man down, then shoved an orange-vested thug backward. To them he looked like just a normal kid. He slammed that thug hard into a nearby dumpster. Kaido said coldly, "If you do not mess with me, I will let you go." Meanwhile, Shimazaki was about to light a cigarette when someone called to him, "Hey, Tetsuya." Suu snapped, irritated, "It is taking too long. When is that Fujiwara guy gonna show up? Did he run away? He is still just a kid, right?" The words hit Shimazaki like a slap, and he let the cigarette drop from his mouth. Humiliating memories flooded his mind. Then Shimazaki shouted, "Suu, that one's not normal." At that exact moment, Kaido's voice carried from outside, "Tetsu, this is Fujiwara." Yuzuha heard the noise and turned instinctively. The sound came in rapid succession and made him flinch. Something was happening. The next 2 words rang out as the factory door was kicked open, "Get out." One of the men rolled forward and landed at Shimazaki's feet, making him jerk in surprise. Nearby, Inagami broke into a pleased grin, his eyes locking on his prey with hungry focus. Kaido stomped on the door as he stepped through and said, "I told you I would let you go if you did not interfere." His voice was low and steady. "This is more tiring than I thought. Take them down without killing anyone." Suu stared in stunned disbelief. No way, he thought. There were like 20 men outside. How could he? Outside, bodies were scattered across the ground. Kaido had taken them all out. Kaido loosened his tie and asked, voice firm, "Where's Yuzuha?" Just then Yuzuha suddenly shouted, "Kaido, why did you come here? I told you not to come." Her voice hit him like a wave. He muttered to himself, "Her safety." Kaido closed his eyes briefly and judged the distance. Yuzuha was 30 meters ahead. In this situation, she was still able to shout. She really had guts. He fell silent for a moment and ran the numbers in his head. There were 30 of them surrounding him. Counting how long it would take to neutralize them all, 55 seconds. 53. In the blink of an eye, Kaido downed the first 2 men. Then he continued, felling the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th closest, and pressing forward. That flash of violence left Suu gaping. What the hell is going on, he thought, watching man after man fall in an instant. In the chaos, Shimazaki crouched and crawled away, shaking. This was bad, he kept urging himself to run. If we do not get out now, we will be killed. Right then a hand grabbed him. A low, cold voice hissed in his ear, "Shimazaki Tetsuya." Kaido raised his fist and warned. His eyes flashed with unmistakable malice. "This will hurt a little." He did not hold back. Several brutal blows landed one after another. Shimazaki writhed, screaming as the pain ripped through him. Then Kaido pressed a palm into his body. A force exploded outward from Kaido and sent Shimazaki flying. The henchmen panicked and scattered, fleeing in terror. "He is a monster," they thought. "This is not what we were told." Suwa bellowed in anger. "Why are you all running? You damn cowards, where's the loyalty for the money I gave you?" Staring at Kaido in his current state. Suwa realized these scumbags had been wrong. This kid was not a kid. No, he is not human. At that moment Yuzuha called out, "Kaido, you are here, right?" He stood there for a beat, thinking, then answered, "Yes." "Sorry to keep you waiting, Yuzuha. I will untie you now." Suddenly, a fist materialized beside him. Inagami suddenly roared, his face feral. He slammed a massive fist down into the ground. The impact echoed. Yuzuha cried out in alarm, "Kaido." Suwa's eyes went wide as he remembered who he was facing. "Inagami, right, we have got a monster," he muttered, then shouted in approval. Unexpectedly, Kaido remained calm as he gripped Inagami's huge arm without flinching. One of Kaido's feet still pressed against Inagami's stomach. He said almost casually, "Hold on a moment." Inagami howled and hauled his arm up, growling, "This is my job." He lunged at Kaido and vowed, "I will kill you." Kaido dodged and struck Inagami square in the face. The blow only made the giant chuckle. So light. Kaido stayed on guard. Thinking through it, this guy was clearly the strongest among them. With that body, you could not take him down in one direct strike. A cold flash passed through Kaido's eyes. He understood what to do. Inagami clenched both hands and swung a crushing blow from above. At that moment, Kaido hunched down and vanished from Inagami's sight. In a few heartbeats, he reappeared behind the giant, out of his line of vision. Kaido's focus narrowed as if he could see the bones under Inagami's skin, zeroing in on a single point. Then he rained strikes into that vulnerable spot, hands and kicks in a relentless flurry. Inagami screamed as bone cracked inside him. A fragment shattered. Seconds later, the giant collapsed, knocked out cold. The remaining henchmen gaped in stunned silence. Kaido glanced back. 6 men remained. Before he could plan, Suwa and the others fled in terror, scattering like cowards. Kaido sighed and tightened his tie. They all ran off. "I should chase them, but this is not the priority right now." After a short while, Yuzuha was finally untied. Kaido's voice was in her ear. "You are okay. Take your time opening your eyes." She obeyed and slowly blinked them open. Seeing him, Yuzuha brightened. "Kaido," she said, and he smiled back, "I am glad you are safe." Kaido reassured her. Those who could still move had fled, and the injuries were minor. Kawaii would wake up soon. But she pressed her lips together, trembling all over. He noticed the shaking and thought, of course she is a regular high school girl dragged into this. Then suddenly Yuzuha yanked him toward her, furious. "This is unacceptable. This is completely wrong," she scolded. "Why did not you call the police? I do not get how you could do this if anything happened to you because of me. How am I supposed to tell my uncle and aunt?" Kaido, bewildered, mumbled, "I am sorry." She softened and added, "Thank you for saving me." Yuzuha suddenly lowered her head, her voice trembling as she continued, "But please, do not make me worry anymore." Tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Seeing this, Kaido's gaze softened instinctively. A memory flashed across his mind. "Tuji, if you are going to be late for work, call me. I am afraid you might disappear somewhere all of a sudden." Then Kaido let out a small laugh. He reached for Yuzuha's hand, looked gently into her eyes, and said, "All right." He spoke with solemn assurance, "I won't do anything to trouble the people I care about anymore." Yuzuha blinked in surprise, clearly touched by his words. At that moment, Kawaii, who had been unconscious, murmured weakly, "Miss Kaido." Kaido smiled and reassured him, "Kawaii's awake too. Looks like someone already called the police. Let us leave them here." He stood up, grinning, and added, "Let us go home." Meanwhile, elsewhere, a familiar voice rang out, "I truly apologize." Suwa walked down a narrow alley, continually justifying himself. "I did not expect Inagami to be taken down so easily. And that kid, he is the key." Before he could finish, a voice from the other end cut him off sharply enough. The speaker was a silver-haired man staring out a window. "We are ready to deploy the team." Suo froze, eyes wide in shock. The man continued in a low, commanding tone, "We must eliminate anyone who stands in the way of the sacred mission of the Trade Alliance." Elsewhere, a female news anchor appeared on a phone screen, delivering a live update. The police have arrested a total of 28 people, ranging from teenagers to those over 40, for breaking into an abandoned factory around 9 p.m. tonight and participating in a mass assault. 30 individuals have been hospitalized due to injuries. Next to the phone, Kaito lay back on his bed, eyes closed. Suddenly, he opened them, as if remembering something. Meanwhile, Mr. and Mrs. Fujiwara had long since fallen into a deep sleep. Kaito realized that sneaking out at night to play had worried his parents. He would have to be careful next time. The worried faces of Mr. and Mrs. Fujiwara flashed through his mind again. The police call had reminded his father of the accident, as though it had shortened his life. "Are you okay? Did you get mixed up with some dangerous people?" they would ask. Kaito looked around and breathed a quiet relief. Lucky they would released him for lack of evidence. His thoughts turned to the gang they would clashed with earlier. What were those people after tonight? Suo's face surfaced in his head too. Why did the kidnappers need so many people? He could not find Suo, the man who'd been directing them. A cold feeling rose in Kaito's chest, a bad premonition that something worse and more dangerous might be coming. Under the thick sweep of his hair, a long surgical stitch showed plainly against pale skin. Walking through the night, he thought only of one thing. He did not want the people around him to suffer anymore. After a while, he cut through into a BAC. For now, he decided, there was something he could do. From an angle he could not see came something suddenly hurled his way. Instinct made Kaito leap up to avoid it. When the dust cleared, 3 small, sharp knives stood stuck in the ground where he would been. A low voice spoke. "Hey, so you dodged that just now." Kaito still had his back turned. The voice continued, edged and knowing. "Looks like you have been tailing me since I got home. Huh, I won't let anyone make people worry here." He turned and asked calmly, "What do you want?" On a nearby lamppost, a pair of legs had been perched unseen. The owner spoke, amused. Sanju smiled with arrogance. "Funny," he said. "I am pretty good at following people." He looked down, pleased. "Not bad, so you are not just a kid like the rumors said." Kaito faced Sanju. His footsteps erased their traces as he moved. The metallic scent of blood clung to him. His training was leagues beyond the thugs from the factory. Sanju's expression darkened as he spoke again. "You are not from the straight world, why are you following me?" Then he smiled with interest. "You talk like somebody from the underworld." Kaito was quiet for a moment, then answered, "I am just a regular high school student." Sanju shrugged. "Fine." I wanted to talk longer, but behind him 2 gleaming knives were already poised. There was no more time. Let us begin. A few familiar images flickered through Kaito's mind. His instincts were shouting. Sanju leveled a blade at his face and sneered, "Fujiwara, you are going to die here." This was Sanju, Trade Alliance Operative Number 067. Kaito took up a guarded stance. He could tell Sanju was much like him, like Tuji, a member of the Trade Alliance. The full moon hung big and bright, filling the sky. Akatsuki spoke with weary irritation. "You kidnapped her and still could not find the treasure. That is exactly why I said." He looked calm but reproachful. "From the start we should have used an operative." Akatsuki, Trade Alliance Operative No. No one seemed to notice aloud, but the Trade Alliance could swallow the world in chaos if it wanted over 1,000 assassins at its disposal. Among the underworld powers simmering in secret, only 100 were honored as elite operatives. A single elite operative could pierce through any target they set their sights on. Minami, apparently unconcerned, added, "After all, that girl is still just an amateur." Minami, Trade Alliance Operative No. He spoke calmly. A true treasure could overturn the world's order, the Fenrir seed. Minami's voice echoed around the table. The rumor that she was the current owner was only speculation. "We won't act until it is verified." Then Yashima cut in. "No, I have already sent Sanju." Akatsuki's eyes widened in disbelief. "You can't use an operative without Odin's permission." Yashima spoke carefully. "Odin has already agreed." He argued methodically that there was no evidence the girl had professional bodyguards. The whole affair had suspicious points from the start. Yashima's demeanor turned austere. "Those who oppose the Trade Alliance," Yashima said, "we operatives will eliminate them." Back at the fight, Fujiwara tensed as he studied his opponent. This kid was an assassin from an organization like his own. Sanju's swagger was suffocating an unpredictable stance that hid the range and timing of his strikes. His center of gravity, his madness, the way he breathed, all of it screamed professional killer. Fujiwara pressed his lips together. The bad feeling in his gut was right. Sanju chose this moment to attack because Fujiwara tied the clues together. The kidnapping of Yuzuha had trade alliance support. If that was true, this was not just a ransom job. Sanju curled his lip in contempt. "You are not just a high school kid," he said. Fujiwara showed no panic or fear at the sight of knives. He would grown used to the muzzle of a gun. Sanju's confidence made Fujiwara wary this man was dangerous for Yuzuha. But that could not stop him. He launched forward, throwing powerful punches at Sanju's face, determined to put him down right here. Sanju melted and danced away from every blow, reading each attack for speed and precision. He struck Fujiwara's weak points without hesitation, clearly someone from the assassin's side. Then Sanju countered, and Fujiwara was on the back foot. Luckily, his reflexes saved him from a potentially blinding blow. He was forced to retreat and reassess. He understood now. Sanju's long reach and flexible strikes exceeded what an ordinary thug could muster. Range was his advantage. Sanju's tone was insolent. "You dodged that nice. You are pretty good." Sanju leapt into the air, and this time it was Fujiwara Kaito's turn to strike. It seemed this cat and mouse game would drag on. Both their reflexes and skills were so well matched that neither could gain the upper hand. Sanju found the young man before him strangely captivating. His movements were precise and fluid, yet the determination etched on Fujiwara's face only fueled Sanju's excitement. Fujiwara mentally ran a self-check, a seemingly ordinary high school student, with both speed and strength inferior to his own. Yet he concentrated all his focus on Sanju and himself, fully aware that even a single misstep could be fatal. Sanju pressed forward relentlessly, forcing Fujiwara into a sudden collision with a lamppost behind him. He was confident in his plan. The key to defeating Sanju was to make him hesitate, just for a moment. Just as Sanju thought victory was within his grasp, only Fujiwara's jacket remained in the air. Sanju's eyes widened, jaw dropping in confusion. He had no idea that Fujiwara had been waiting with peak-level hockey. This was merely a decoy, just the jacket. Fujiwara quickly prepared the finishing move against Sanju. But even he miscalculated slightly. The strike grazed Sanju's neck, a near miss. Fujiwara swiftly retreated, the tension between them reaching a boiling point. Streams of red blood hinted that the deadly game was nearing its climax. Fatigue weighed heavily on Fujiwara. Sanju was stronger than he had anticipated, and to evade him required pushing his body to its absolute limit. Sanju, unfazed, felt a surge of curiosity. "So you corner me just to test me? Who are you really?" He analyzed calmly. Fujiwara's movements and hand-to-hand techniques were top tier. Yet the thin veil of his lethal intent, targeting a mere high school student, carried a chilling undertone. Sanju admitted to himself, following orders to eliminate this boy was unnerving. While Sanju was upgrading his body mid-battle, he began to understand why his superiors had been cautious of Fujiwara. Handling a single woman might be simple, but leaving this boy alive would turn him into a formidable obstacle. Now Fujiwara's question had its answer. This opponent was indeed a representative of the trade alliance. Sanju noted the presence of 2 knives in Fujiwara's possession. He needed to switch from surveillance mode to combat mode. With a surge of power, Sanju unleashed his full-strength form. "I will show you my true self, the spearhead of God's wrath, the assassin's ultimate will." Even the glory of a typical protagonist could not save Fujiwara this time. Sanju's crazed, amplified state surged forward his dual dragon strike, his true form now revealed. His hand speed increased exponentially, far more refined than before. Yet what flew from Fujiwara's body was not blood, it was bark. Once again, he narrowly avoided death. The moon had reached its zenith, but the battle showed no sign of ending. Fujiwara remained calm, hiding behind a water spout, suddenly altering his movement patterns. He understood he could not underestimate this opponent. This was no ordinary assassin. Before he could catch his breath, Sanju struck, slicing through the water spout. Water sprayed chaotically across the sky, creating an impromptu, artificial downpour midair. The slash cut into Fujiwara's hand. No. There was no doubt now, this guy was a top-class trade alliance warrior. Sanju's posture sent a chill down the spine. He mocked, "You broke it for me by running around like this." Wherever his blade sliced, blood sprayed. He snarled, "You killed before. Did not you? Are you allowed to kill a woman?" Fujiwara looked a wreck, his body covered in wounds. Sanju had struck at his pride by targeting the girl. The memory of that grim scene hit him hard. Mirai and John lying in a pool of blood, Mirai still smiling so brightly. Then the image snapped to Yuzuha. Awakening with sudden clarity, Fujiwara's true reason for fighting came into focus. He was not fighting for himself, but for the people he cared about most. He charged straight at the crazed Sanju, ignoring the blades arcing down toward him. His eyes flashed a bloody red as he closed the distance. In a blur, he sent Sanju's knives flying one, then the second slipped from the killer's grasp. Fujiwara's counterattack began in earnest. He snatched up a blade from behind and moved like a gust of wind toward the assassin. Before Sanju could react, his arm was severed. For all his professional skill, Sanju had to be wary of this supposedly schoolboy who, Fujiwara murmured in a low voice, "Yes, I am." The terrible scene had seared itself into Fujiwara's mind. He would not endure that regret again. He thought of the sweet Yuzuha and swore beneath his breath, images of Tuji flickering through him, that he would protect her. He would not let that man lay a finger on Yuzuha. Sanju cleared his throat, sounding syrupy and mocking, and laughed. "Looks like you finally got serious." He leveled his blade at Kaido and continued, "Even so, you are going to die." He lunged, shrieking that the will of the gods would be carried out. Sanju's strikes came in a brutal, unrelenting storm. Kaido struggled to block and parry each blow. Sanju snarled to himself that his attacks were not landing. This kid was different. Kaido held his dagger up to meet the onslaught, deflecting each slash. Sanju, frustrated that his blows kept being neutralized, roared that all Kaido could do was run away. But before he finished, a flash of steel appeared. Kaido had materialized behind him, muffled his mouth, and said coldly, "You are loud. A professional killer does not scream like that." Sanju flinched. He lashed out blindly behind him and tried to stab at Kaido, muttering that this opponent moved too fast, like a completely different person. Kaido's eyes flashed. He intercepted the attack with icy calm. The duel continued in a blur, and Sanju's fear grew. Suddenly, deep, jagged cuts appeared across Sanju's body. Kaido murmured, weary, "I am getting tired of taking those blows." He rushed forward and Sanju froze. Sanju fumbled to snatch up the fallen blade, but Kaido appeared before him and struck again, slicing repeatedly. "It is over," Kaido said, and with a final, detached motion he finished him cold, efficient, utterly decisive. Sanju's eyes widened in disbelief, staring at the strike that had cut through him. What was that speed? It was divine, far beyond what his eyes could follow. He looked at Kaido and realized this attack. It was no ordinary strike. Deep down, he recognized one of the 12 blades of the thieves' gods. Kaido immediately struck again. Sanju screamed in pain, silently acknowledging that this was not an opponent he could match. There was no way he could win here. He collapsed to the ground, blood gushing from his body in torrents. Gasping, he tried to locate his blade. But when he looked at his hands, he realized in horror that he could no longer use them. Both hands were nearly severed. Kaido stood over him, blood coating his figure, and said coldly, "I have left one leg intact, aided by medicine that might save some function. But you will never kill anyone again." Sanju fell silent for a moment before asking, "Why? Why are you doing this?" Kaido explained, "Being a killer leads nowhere. You only lose what is truly precious to you." The image of Mirai's cold, lifeless body flashed through his mind again. Holding his dagger to Sanju's face, Kaido continued, "I have 2 questions. Answer one, and you will lose the other leg. Refuse both, and you will lose your life." He demanded, "Who ordered you to kill me? What was the purpose of abducting Yuzuha?" Sanju sneered with contempt. "So that is why you are letting me live?" he asked, then laughed maniacally. "Yes, it is humiliating. I won't tell even if you kill me. I will never betray the god I have always believed in." His eyes bulged, blood vessels throbbing, illusions flickering before him. Kaido remained calm. "A god. As I thought you are." But suddenly, the wail of sirens made him pause. The police, he thought, alert to the noise. Sanju seized the opening. Despite having only one functional leg, he sprang away, standing on a fence. "Seems this is as far as I go," he said, gripping a short blade between his teeth. "But I can still move a bit. You would better run, right?" He leapt into the forest and continued taunting, Or do you want to remain just an ordinary high school student forever? Kaido froze, eyes wide with shock. He recalled Hiate's teasing you will be lonely when Tuji retires. Could he truly become a killer? Could he ever do anything normal? Or was all he capable of just killing? Meanwhile, in a high-rise apartment, a white-haired man asked, "So Sanju has been defeated?" Izumo, a young man with long green hair, immediately replied yes. Your instincts were right as always. Sanju likely won't complete his mercenary mission. Akatsuki, a pink-haired youth, laughed loudly. Defeating a blade of the thieves' gods is incredible. I really wonder who that guy was, he continued excitedly. This is exhilarating. Next time, Yashima, let us play for real. Izumo sighed, muttering, Akatsuki is still the same as ever. He suddenly added, though that guy was an intriguing opponent just before Sanju lost consciousness. Izumo described the enemy's blade technique in detail as Sanju was being rushed into the emergency room, and then he spoke a single name, Gungnir. Yashima, the white-haired man, froze immediately, and Minami shot a quick look at Izumo. Akatsuki scoffed coldly and pushed back. Izumo, do not go too far. You are saying that guy is the strongest blade user in the world, Izumo answered calmly. I am not arguing. In the end you have to respect Gungnir. Minami intervened, trying to calm things down, but Akatsuki slammed the table and protested no way. There can't be anyone like Tuji besides Tuji. Minami cut in, however. Still, there is no doubt the girl's bodyguard is strong. Our organization was stopped twice in one night, and we lost an operative. He went on, we can't ignore this any longer, Yashima. Yashima fell silent for a moment before murmuring that he would even heard the name Gungnir mentioned as already dead. He repeated the question under his breath. Fujiwara Kaido, who exactly is he? Elsewhere, Kaido was quietly tending his wounds. He told himself, a normal high school student Fujiwara Kaido. Looking in the mirror, he affirmed, that is me now. He thought, if the Trade Alliance is targeting Yuzuha, he can't just stand by. Kaido recalled Sanju and realized more hunters would come now that he would taken down an elite operative. He clenched his fist and admitted to himself that his current fragile body could not face what was coming. He needed to become stronger. Determined, he resolved not to lose the ordinary life in front of him again. In another place, Akatsuki, proud and eager, declared, then let me go this time. Yashima was stunned. What? Izumo chuckled and said quietly that it was so like Akatsuki to underestimate the gravity of the situation. Akatsuki Trade Alliance operative no. 9. One of the 12 blades known as the Twin Spears laughed. If he is even close to Tuji, another operative will be counterattacked. I want to know where that treasure is. Let me go. I will kill him. He finished with a grin. That Fujiwara Kaido guy, I want him. Time had passed, and a full night had gone by since Yuzuha's kidnapping and Sanju's attack. At the Fujiwara household, the family was gathered together in celebration, welcoming Kaido back home. Kaido, congratulations on being discharged. Once again, everyone chimed warmly. Kaido sat in his chair, feeling a little out of place but shyly responding, thank you, everyone. Fujiwara Teru could not hide his excitement. Last time we were too busy to celebrate properly, so I made you some tamago gohan myself, he said, his voice full of enthusiasm. Looking at the dish before him perfectly cooked, with even a touch of chili sauce, Kaido felt a flicker of doubt. It looked different from the tamago gohan he was used to. It carried the distinct flair of the Fujiwara family. Noticing his hesitance, Fujiwara Kyoko patted her forehead in mild exasperation. Teru, you did not need to go through all this, she said. Yuzuha chimed in warmly, come on, let me handle the cooking for Kaido this time. Kaido froze for a moment, suspiciously eyeing the plate brought before him. The beef smelled fragrant and looked tender, perfectly arranged as stew. His hand tightened around his chopsticks. Yuzuha, confidently placing her hands on her hips, introduced the dish to him. This is my specialty. Hurry up and try it. Kaido nodded slightly, unable to refuse. After a brief moment of hesitation, he took his first spoonful, uncertain whether it would suit his taste. His eyes widened in surprise, and a small smile tugged at his lips. Well, I guess this beef stew is really delicious. The flavor reminded Kaido of a time long ago. Outside, in the hallway, Mirai had stood behind him, asking Kaido, are you working overtime today? He had been putting on his shoes, replying casually, no, I will be home before dinner. Considering the dangerous tasks he had been undertaking, He had only told her he was meeting someone to pick up a package. Mirai smiled, reassured. Good. Today we have got beef stew, your favorite. Kaido's eyes lit up at the mention of beef. Seeing his reaction, Mirai sighed helplessly. You really love it, do not you? Kaido, delighted, added, because your beef stew is always the best, Mirai. He then turned slightly and softly called Mirai. She held a small puppy in her arms, looking at him curiously. Kaido looked at her seriously, a quiet promise in his gaze. I will tell you something important today when I get home. I am leaving now. Mirai smiled brightly, hugging the puppy tightly. Okay, come home early, all right. That moment left an indelible impression on Kaido. It was just beef stew, yet in his heart, he thought Mirai. Today I will give up being a killer. He bowed his head, emotions rippling within him. Every word was a promise. From now on, he would stay by her side. At that moment, Yuzuha noticed Kaido lingering over the plate, still holding his spoon. Worried, she leaned in and asked, Is not it good? Before he could respond properly, Kaido grabbed the plate and began eating, spoonful by spoonful. After a while, he finally spoke softly, his voice tinged with a hint of regret. No. It is really delicious, truly. Yuzuha let out a relieved sigh. Oh, thank goodness. Do not scare me like that. Fujiwara Kyoko brought over another bowl, laughing. Kaido, you really have a good appetite. There is plenty more. Yuzuha eagerly added, Let me help. Fujiwara Teru's eyes lit up with an idea. I bet pouring Yuzuha's stew over my Tamago Gohan would be amazing. Kyoko laughed wryly. Next time, I will teach you how to make it properly. Kaido watched the scene in front of him in silence. He could not tell exactly what he was thinking. The moment of the family sharing a meal together, he had not felt anything like that in a long time. A small smile crept onto his face, and struggling slightly for words, he said softly, Everyone thank you. After a while, out on the sidewalk, Yuzuha said, You do not have to walk me home. Kaido replied simply, It is late, it is dangerous. Then he asked her, Did anything strange happen around you since then? She answered right away, Yeah, the police are out there guarding our house. Kaido glanced at her suspiciously. Kawaii did not come pick you up. Yuzuha laughed brightly. I told him not to. If he came, it would be noisy, and I would not enjoy it at all. Mentioning Kawaii made her remember his overprotective streak. He worries a lot. Miss Kawaii will go with you, Kaido said helplessly, and she waved the comment away, stretching comfortably. But today was really fun. She remembered the earlier singing and eating, and the way everyone laughed from the heart. It had been a long time since she would felt that. Then her expression shifted. She lowered her head and, voice soft, admitted, Since my father died, I have felt not great. Kaido was taken aback. He had not known. He asked, quietly, Your dad? Yuzuha walked and confided, Sorry, I won't say anything that might affect your memory. It was 2 months ago, about the same time as your accident. Kaido bowed his head, unsure what to say, and murmured, I know. A complicated feeling washed over him. That memory on the rooftop, Yuzuha's words then had seared into his mind, If you disappear too. Yet whenever Kaido was with her, she always wore a bright expression. He began to see Yuzuha differently. Despite her hardship, she was a strong kid who kept smiling. He sighed and said, I am sorry I made you worry. Yuzuha waved it off like it was nothing. After a pause, she looked at him and, hesitant, added, Kaido, you have changed a bit. He felt as if someone had seen through him and blurted, Huh. Yuzuha prodded her chin, thinking, You have matured. Or maybe the opposite. When you were little, you were more reckless. Even against bigger opponents, you would throw yourself in. She recalled how, when they were kids, Kaido would stand up for her when others bullied her. Do not pick on Yuzuha. She remembered clearly the night she had been kidnapped. You came alone to save me. I had my eyes covered so I could not see, but to do that. She looked at him appraisingly and asked bluntly, How did you rescue me? Her question put Kaido on edge. She was doubting him. He avoided her gaze and answered honestly, Well, somehow they saw me and ran off. In truth, he would beaten them until they lay sprawled on the ground and then fled. Those guys were monsters, he thought. Yuzuha blinked in disbelief. Really, she asked. Seeing her doubt, Kaido thought to himself helplessly, I am not lying. Yuzuha did not seem particularly interested in the matter. She let out a soft laugh and said, Well, anyway, the truth is Kaido came here because of me. Recalling the moment she was kidnapped, she still shivered at the memory. The day I was taken. I thought I might die. Thinking back to when Kaido had arrived in front of her, she felt a rush of relief. Seeing him come to save her, a warmth spread through her. Her cheeks flushed slightly, and her voice softened noticeably. I was really happy. Thank you. Kaido smiled gently at her. I will continue to protect you. Suddenly, Yuzuha furrowed her brow and looked at him intently. She spoke with a hint of excitement. Ah, right. Kaido, come a little closer. Kaido glanced at her with some suspicion, but seemed to follow her instructions anyway. It turned out she simply wanted to take a picture with him, yet the young man just stood there, letting her pose him as she wished. Considering the circumstances, it was acceptable. Stretching slightly, Yuzuha spoke again. Perfect. This one's great. I will use it as my wallpaper to commemorate today. Kaido inwardly worried. Would not this be misunderstood if anyone at school saw it? Yuzuha added beside him. I think this is a good turning point. Kaido, confused, looked at her. She patiently explained. Even though you went through such a serious accident, you are always looking out for me. 2 tears slipped down her cheeks involuntarily. I know I need to move forward. I won't forget my dad, but I can't stay stuck like this forever. Seeing her so emotional, Kaido called her name gently to comfort her. Yuzuha. Recalling all the painful moments of his own past, Kaido felt a surge of self-reproach. Yuzuha. She is like me. So why am I the only one still alive? That thought weighed heavily on his mind, and quietly he made a decision. Looking at Yuzuha beside him, there was only one thought in Kaido's mind. I truly want to protect this girl. I can genuinely feel that from the bottom of my heart. Yuzuha looked at her phone screen, her lips curling slightly. I will keep this wallpaper for a long time. Thank you, Dad, for everything. But when Kaido glanced at the photo, his expression darkened, as if he had realized something terrible. In a low voice, he asked this person. Is he Yuzuha's father? Yuzuha looked at him, puzzled. You really have amnesia. My dad is very kind to you. She then gazed at the picture again. Even though some people in this world might criticize him, he's been really good to me. The image showed a gentle father carrying his little daughter on his back, both of them laughing happily. He was the father Yuzuha respected, the father she loved dearly, her beloved dad. Kaido whispered, each word weighed with restrained emotion, I know this person. In his painful memories, that figure had appeared once before, shattered. He had seen this very image already the moment when he stood under that man while completing his final mission. And Yuzuha, the girl he had just vowed to protect, was tied to a past in which he had taken the life of her father, one of the people who had killed Yuzuha's dad. In that memory, Kaido's eyes were utterly devoid of warmth. All that remained was the presence of blood. And now, in the present, Kaido himself realized the horrifying truth. He was the one who had killed Yuzuha's father. Across from him, Yuzuha noticed his silence and spoke gently to reassure him. All right, it is all set. What is wrong, Kaido? Why so quiet? She smiled lightly at him. It was strange. Yet she was the daughter of Akagi Guhiai, the chairman of the Akagi Corporation, Yuzuha. When Kaido returned home, he locked himself in his room. Each thought, each word, seemed to consume his mind. I killed him. 2 streams of conflicting thoughts tore through his head. No. Hate was the one who pulled the trigger. Bit by bit, this gnawed at the willpower he had just begun to muster. If I had known it was Yuzuha's father, I would never have accepted that mission. Inside, Kaido felt like waves of despair were swallowing him whole. It was just an excuse. I would not have felt anything killing Chairman Akagi, the man who betrayed the Merchant Alliance. He clenched his fists, words and memories chewing at his heart. Yuzuha is still in grave danger. Should I tell her the truth that the organization that killed her father is the same one that kidnapped her, and that I am one of them? No. I could never say that. Ultimately, only a single question remained in Kaido's mind. What? What should I do? The next morning, the bustling noise of the school awakened his senses. Hey, did you hear? Kaido sat listlessly in class, letting the chatter wash over him. A transfer student will be joining today. Suddenly, I wonder what kind of person they will be. Hopefully, someone handsome. Even now, he could not escape the tangle of thoughts swirling in his mind. I truly cannot tell Yuzuha. Just taking down a single merchant would prevent the Alliance from pursuing her easily. He rested his hand on the desk, his mind spinning further. Protecting Yuzuha by staying close to her, that was all he could do. At that moment, the teacher entered, straightening the class. All right, everyone, please take your seats. It is sudden, but from today we will be learning alongside a new classmate. The class erupted in whispers. "We have been waiting. Is he handsome, sensei?" A student asked politely, "Excuse me, sir, may I come in?" Upon hearing the familiar voice, Kaido's gaze snapped in its direction. This voice. No, it can't be. From the front of the classroom, everyone looked up and exclaimed in delight, "So cute." But Kaido barely registered their remarks. On the podium stood Akatsuki, smiling warmly as he introduced himself. "From today, I will be studying in this class. I am Amagasa Makoto. It is a pleasure to meet you all." Kaido's emotions swung wildly from shock to horror, his eyes wide as his mind churned. Akatsuki. Why is he at this school? He recalled Akatsuki's stubborn yet resolute declaration, "I will never betray the organization." Then seeing him now, so friendly, a chill ran through Kaido. The truth became clear. The one targeting Yuzuha was indeed the Merchant Alliance, and just think, he might even be one of the 12 merchants. Suddenly, Akatsuki's gaze fell on Kaido, and the boy flinched. In Akatsuki's eyes, the target was clearly identified, Fujiwara Kaido. He added to the class, "It might be difficult for me to make friends quickly." Only Kaido sensed the anomaly. An uneasy feeling rose in his chest, sharp and unrelenting. The gymnasium was noisy, full of chatter, and yet again there was someone calling out for Amagasa, trying to stop him. Akatsuki nimbly leapt and threw the ball into the hoop. The crowd erupted in praise. "Amazing," Amagasa scored again. "That dunk was incredible." One student high-fived him enthusiastically. "You are incredible, Makoto." Akatsuki, exhilarated, continued to practice passionately. After a perfectly executed pass, he called out, "All right, let us do it again." Some boys muttered enviously, "He just transferred here, and he is already famous." Fujiwara Kaido observed quietly from a distance, analyzing everything. Half the day had passed, yet Twin Blades showed no other signs of action. What was he thinking? Kaido had a precise understanding of the Merchant Alliance's hierarchy. Among their assassins, there were 100 elite merchants ranked numerically, and the 12 strongest were granted titles by Lord Odin of the Alliance, the 12 merchants. Kaido understood clearly, these were the 12 merchants. He had to acknowledge their skill and professionalism. They possessed unmatched combat abilities and immense authority. When it came to eliminating a target, they could surpass even a nation's military. Most importantly, the 12 merchants were only deployed for matters of extreme importance. All regular bodyguards had already been neutralized, and one of them had been sent to this school, a clear sign that the Merchant Alliance was targeting Yuzuha. Kaido lowered his head, contemplating everything that had transpired. The Merchant Alliance's objective was the treasure that Chairman Akagi was rumored to have stolen, but his gaze shifted to Akatsuki celebrating, and his worry for the future only deepened. If this man caused trouble at school, could he truly protect Yuzuha? Fujiwara Kaido's eyes burned with determination as he looked ahead, aware of the innocence of the other students and the fragility of his current body. The school bell rang, signaling recess. A group of girls quickly surrounded Akatsuki. "Amagasa, do you want to go to karaoke after school? You are really good at basketball. Did you play before?" Akatsuki, slightly embarrassed, replied, "I used to play a little back in the States." The girl's excitement only grew. "So that is why you came back." Kaido's gaze never wavered as he observed. Akatsuki remained motionless, showing no outward intention beyond his playful demeanor. "From tomorrow onward, I will have to stay alert at all times." Suddenly, a familiar voice called out loudly, "Kaido." He turned in shock. "Yuzuha, why are you here now?" She carried a box and stepped closer, smiling. "Perfect timing. Are you free after school? I want you to come with me somewhere on the way home." Kaido hesitated and politely declined. "I am sorry. Today Yuzuha, slightly annoyed, interrupted. "Wait, I have not even finished yet." "No, you really should go straight home today." Then, a hand suddenly rested on Kaido's shoulder. Akatsuki flashed a bright, easygoing smile, eager to make friends. "Nice to meet you. You are Akagi Yuzuha, right?" Fujiwara Kaido immediately sensed something and frowned, his guard snapping up. "This guy. He is definitely after Yuzuha." Akatsuki went on to introduce himself. "I am Amagasa Makoto. Just transferred here today. It is great to meet you." Yuzuha perked up at the chance to meet someone new. "Ah, I heard about you. There is a rumor going around about a handsome boy transferring from Class 3. Then, curiosity flickered across her face. "Wait, How do you even know my name? Did Kaido tell you? It turned out he would already done his homework. You are famous, are not you? He said lightly. The high school girl who is inheriting the massive Akaji group. That is what people are saying. Yuzuha froze mid-step, her expression turning blank, almost stunned. Her face was nothing like it had been moments before. I see. So that is it, she murmured. But Akatsuki, oblivious to her shift, kept talking. My father also worked with Chairman Akaji. He asked me to send his regards to the chairman's daughter. Would you like to chat after school sometime? Fujiwara Kaido abruptly cut in. Sorry, Yuzuha. He smoothly tried to pull her out of the conversation. Amasaji jammed his finger playing basketball during PE. I need to take him to the nurse's office. He glanced at Akatsuki, face dark, signaling for him to cooperate. Akatsuki caught the cue immediately and played along. I am thrilled to meet you, Yuzuha. See you later, okay? She still looked a little unsettled but managed, Sure. Yuzuha exhaled, relieved, and turned back to Kaido with a grateful smile. You protected me again. Thank you, Kaido. Up on the rooftop, Akatsuki leaned against the railing, looking down at the courtyard below. Wow, the school rooftop. Youth really is something else, he mused. He turned back with a teasing grin. So it is just the two of us up here. What are we doing? You planning to confess? Fujiwara Kaido. He clearly had a soft spot for Yuzuha. I am just joking. But honestly, his tone grew more serious, almost admiring. She is even cuter in person than in the pictures. Hard to believe she is Chairman Akaji's daughter. I already kind of like her. Fujiwara Kaido's face hardened as he cut straight to the point. Enough games. What is your real purpose? You are trying to avenge that assassin, are not you? Akatsuki clapped his hands in delight. So you really did take down Sanju. Both the shoulder and the chest, too. To think a high school student could beat a spear agent and walk away with just a few injuries. Kaido stayed focused. I will ask you again. Why are you trying to abduct Yuzuha? Akatsuki did not even bother to hide it. It is about the treasure she is inheriting. It was exactly as Kaido had suspected, just as I thought. Akatsuki pointed at him. Honestly, we do not even know what it is. We just want more information. And hey, he extended an offer. Why not join us, be one of us? Kaido blinked in surprise, but Akatsuki went on, eyes glinting. I mean it. You are stronger than the other operatives in the organization. You could pull it off. Akatsuki delivered their pitch, and then tried to recruit him. We only kill scum who deserve to die. You will make money. You will get the tough jobs never boring. If you push her, Yuzuha will tell us where the treasure is. So, what do you say? He started to speak more plainly. I think it is a good offer. And listen, after you disgrace the organization like that, there is no way both of you walk away alive. Seeing Fujiwara Kaido still hesitate, Akatsuki circled him and reminded him. But if you plan to keep resisting, it will be pointless. He stepped closer to the railing, then shifted his tone completely. Fujiwara Kaido lunged and swung a punch. Akatsuki was not weak, he dodged continuously, lightning fast. Dumbfust. His instincts were sharp. How did you know what I was going to do? He taunted. Then he grabbed the youth's wrist. Kaido stared at the thing in the other guy's hand. It was basically a bomb. He would realize long before that combining body technique with assassination craft and explosives was how you could take down a twin blade. I won't let you do that, Akatsuki. Akatsuki could not believe it. He snapped back a step, suddenly more cautious. You even know my codename. You are special, not an ordinary kid. This calls for. He turned cruel. Upgrade time. 6 at once. Kaido moved like lightning, scooping them up one by one. He reacted insanely fast, 3 left. He pushed himself, got it. He used his feet deftly, kicking them this way and that, then caught them in his hands. Okay, I will. Akatsuki could not help but sneer in admiration. An ordinary high schooler, impressive. But it is not enough to protect everyone. Kaido still lunged to snatch them, but his effort proved useless. Akatsuki grew more vicious. Panic rippled as fire erupted everywhere. Kaido scrambled, covering his face in fright. Down below, everyone was in a full panic. What an explosion. Hey, what is going on? Run, do not shove, follow instructions and evacuate, stay calm. Akatsuki, however, remained unnervingly casual, announcing, do not worry. I tuned them so no one would get hurt. Consider this your reward for catching 6 of them. Fury flared up inside Kaido. You bastard. Akatsuki then returned to his original line of questioning. He held up the remaining clutch of bombs and asked, Fujiwara Kaido, who are you? You are going to join us, right? Kaido froze. But he stood firm. Right now I am just an ordinary high school student, and I have decided to protect Yuzuha. I will never become one of your teammates. Akatsuki sighed, disappointed. What a shame. I thought you were pretty smart. Do not you get it until people start dying. Then he called casually Gungnir. He was turning his back as he spoke. Suddenly Akatsuki stopped, his gaze sharpening as if he would realize something. Fujiwara Kaido reintroduced himself, quietly, Gungnir the 12th Blade. That is my codename. The loudspeaker kept blaring reminders. Please follow directions and evacuate in an orderly fashion. Repeat. Akatsuki bristled at the sound, clearly annoyed by people like him. He snapped, dangerously, if you're going to talk like that, do not go around saying the name Gungnir. Fujiwara Kaido spoke plainly. He would invoke that name to avoid a fight. Akatsuki barked back loudly. What? The public address system chimed in again. Is anyone still on the rooftop? We are conducting a sweep. Please evacuate any remaining students. I will check the roof. Akatsuki leapt onto the railing and extended an ultimatum. I will wait 3 days. Tell us you will join, and everything will be fine. Refuse, he warned as he turned away. And I will make you regret it, and do not you dare fake the name Gungnir in front of me. Fujiwara Kaido watched Akatsuki walk off. Smoke thickened and swirled across the school grounds. People on the walkways buzzed and speculated about the explosion. What was that blast just now? It was huge. But it looks like no one got hurt, maybe just some idiot's prank. Good thing club activities were canceled today. That could have been much worse. You okay, Kaido? No ride. I have got errands to run. Kaido stiffly warned Yuzuha, from now on, do not leave the house, okay? You were kidnapped just yesterday. This could be related. Yuzuha blushed and tucked her hair behind her ear. Okay, thanks. One guard called out resolutely. Yes, miss, the bodyguard next to her vowed, adamant, increased the detail. If we build this place into a fortress, the lady will be safe. As for me today, I started learning Kung Fu. If there is an emergency, I will protect you even if it costs my life. Yuzuha sighed, embarrassed. Is not that a little much? In the end, she relented. Okay. I will do everything you said. The guard beamed. It is an honor to be called a good man. Kaido kept pressing, tense. Call me right away if anything happens. Yuzuha waved him off, not nearly as worried. You're overthinking. See you tomorrow. She waved as her car pulled away. Fujiwara Kaido stayed behind, suddenly turning his face hard and sharp. From the high rooftop angle, you could only make out a faint image of Kaido's back. Akatsuki was sitting on a rooftop ledge, eyes fixed. He said with grim determination, Fujiwara Kaido, no matter who you are, I will not let the reputation of Gungnir be sullied. The train moved slowly on. Kaido had already thought this, through carefully. By claiming to be Gungnir, Akatsuki would shift attention away from Yuzuha and onto himself. In any case, Kaido had to respect Akatsuki's skill, there was no denying it. Akatsuki was the youngest among the 12 merchants. He would cross the line between life and death on the front lines more than once. Kaido understood that all too well. He focused on his own body and considered his condition. After several fights, he had grown accustomed to this body, but still. Fujiwara Kaido admitted to himself with difficulty. He was not yet ready, nor did he have the skill to fight one of the 12 merchants. This was not an opponent he could handle within 3 days. He searched for an answer. How could he protect Yuzuha and everyone else? How could he possibly do it? A blade flashed into his mind. He found himself walking toward the final road. There was no other choice left. Fujiwara Kaido made a grim decision. Even if it meant mutual destruction, he would have to kill him. The paw crackled again. Next stop, Shibuya. Shibuya. Kaido stepped down onto the street Shibuya and melted into the press of people. The more he walked, the deeper he thought. He wondered why he had been avoiding this place for so long, and yet today, for some reason, he would come back. His face went blank, his heart not right. In Kaido's memory, this was the place where we would have been killed. He looked up, lost in thought, standing where it had happened. Kaido sprang up onto the building, but what was he supposed to do here? He hesitated to open the door. Mirai was not here anymore. The door eased open. Kaido's tension spiked. It was not locked. Thoughts crowded his mind. Was this a trap? Had someone predicted he would return? There were no signs of people, but something felt off. He peered inside, a strange, familiar feeling washing over him, exactly like before. Kaido could not make sense of it. What was going on? He looked around. Then he saw it. Nothing had changed. The blood had been cleaned up, but the place still felt like it did when we were alive here. On instinct, he slipped into a fighting stance. Why? Who would do something like this? He stayed hyper-aware of everything around him. Maybe it was a trap, maybe someone was coming. Then John patted out with the frisbee in his mouth. He barked once. Arf. Kaido's face went slack. He could hardly believe it. John. Kaido's eyes filled without him meaning to. Tears slipped down his cheeks. He swept the dog into his arms, trembling with emotion. John, you are still alive. John licked Kaido's face over and over. Kaido reached for the frisbee and thought back that frisbee. We used to play with it down by the river. He gently asked John, hey, do you recognize me? Then Fujiwara Kaido turned his gaze elsewhere. John looked in a direction and barked in a long, continuous stream, arf, 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 arf. Kaido stepped forward and picked up the photo. Hey, Tuji. The three of us. Let us live together, okay? He stroked the picture softly, memories flooding back of Mirai himself. And John. On the bus, she had said about his work. She did not know the details, but Mirai had turned and smiled. I hope Tuji will be happy so. Please stay with me. Tuji had loved her dearly. I am truly happy. Even if I die, I will protect you. After hearing that, Mirai had shouted, exasperated, no, do not you understand? You always talk about life and death like it is nothing. Kaido had stood there stunned, and she sighed helplessly. I just hope that someday you will understand. He had once asked himself, if I die, can I never be happy again? Mirai, full of hope and affection, did not know what would happen to Tuji in the future. I want you to live, and build the life you long for, no matter what. Tears streaked down the photo. Kaido missed her terribly, Mirai. He placed the photo back where it belonged. I could not make you happy. He led John away, but Fujiwara Kaido would carry the most beautiful memories with him. The days he had spent by her side would always remain within him. His parents watched, confused. Kaido felt awkward. Actually, well, a couple of young kids can't really keep a pet for some reason. Could we? Keep this dog here, John barked once, arf. Fujiwara Teru understood immediately. I get it. Let us keep him then. Kaido asked again, hesitantly. Right. This is kind of sudden. Is it really okay? His father nodded firmly. After hearing such a story, he could not say no. It is fine, is not it, Mom? She beamed warmly. Of course, a cute dog like this is always welcome. We will take turns walking him, okay? Kaido grinned, feeling immense gratitude. Thank you, both of you. She looked curious. Oh, Kaido. What is the dog's name? Kaido's face lit up as he replied, John. That is what his previous owner called him. In the photo were Kaido, Mirai, and the dog John, a snapshot of a small, cherished family. Fujiwara Kaido sent a message asking how things were going. Yuzuha, anything unusual since then? Yuzuha replied, I am fine, nothing's wrong. She sounded a little disappointed. Actually, I heard you adopted a dog. I will come pet him tomorrow, can I come over now? Kaido's reply was cold and blunt, no, Yuzuha. He cracked a half-smile afterward, calm, composed, confident. Meanwhile, on a plane, voices buzzed. Hello, what is the situation? Akatsuki was waiting for good news. 3 days have not passed yet. But you called because you already made up your mind. Fujiwara Kaido answered evenly. Decision, yes. I made one. He laid out what he would do. I am not going to do things your way. This time I will make the first move. Kaido set the place and time, the school rooftop. Before dawn tomorrow. That is where I will beat you. He repeated his name with cold finality, Igungnir. Akatsuki ground his teeth, his eyes burning with terrible hatred. He could not hold it in and crushed the phone in his hand. Shards fell to the ground as Akatsuki snarled through clenched teeth. Fujiwara Kaido, you dare call yourself Gungnir in front of me. His fists tightened. Inside, he was screaming denial. No way someone like him could be Tuji. That man was a perfect killer. You can't be Tuji. The scene shifted, rewinding 3 years to the Middle East. A building suddenly exploded, flames roaring and swallowing the sky. Amid the ruin, Akatsuki, his black hair a mess. One arm dripping blood from countless wounds, panted, each breath heavy. His arm was mangled. His eyelids drooped with exhaustion. He whispered, "I am sorry, Tuji. I am ready." From behind a collapsed wall, a squad of armed men rushed in. They growled ferociously, leveling their muzzles at Akatsuki. "We have cornered him, it is him. Revenge for our comrade. Die in the name of the Lord." One cried, but before any trigger could be squeezed, cold slashes tore through the air. In a brutal instant, the whole squad fell, blood spraying in horrific long arcs. A shadow emerged through the smoke and flames no one else but Tuji. Akatsuki's eyes went wide, unable to believe he would appeared. Tuji's voice said, "Thanks to your explosives, the path is clear." Tuji smiled confidently. "I will handle the rest. Make sure you get home safe." That silhouette strangely brought an inexplicable calm. "Follow me, Akatsuki." Watching from behind, something in Akatsuki's eyes ignited. Back to the present, it was 500 a.m. On the rooftop, the metal door suddenly swung open with a creak that echoed in the still air as a figure stepped through slowly. Akatsuki stood with his hands in his coat pockets, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "What are you thinking? Gonna fight in your school uniform?" Kaido stood there in his uniform, one hand holding his bag, his gaze cold and steady. "Of course. I am going to beat you, then go to class as usual." Akatsuki laughed, a corner of his mouth twitching. A dark flash crossed his eyes, revealing a hint of madness. "You think the same as me, huh?" He remembered thinking about it all yesterday, replaying every strike Kaido had thrown. He admitted to himself, "I was not strong or quick enough, but it is pretty similar to Gungnir's moves, the one I revere." Without hiding it, Akatsuki confessed, "I wanted to become that person. That is exactly why I can't forget I felt Gungnir in you." His expression went hard, the killing intent coalescing around him as he declared, "So I will tear you apart and kill you." Kaido smoothed his collar, voice low and steady. "I understand." Akatsuki's mouth twisted into a grin. "Before we fight, one thing you should know." He announced it with an air of triumph. He would planted bombs somewhere in the school scattered through the hallways, classrooms, and other areas. He lifted his left hand with a showy flourish. "This prosthetic here is wired straight into my nervous system. I can detonate any of those charges with a twitch of a finger." He flicked his fingers once, casually warning, "If you lose to me, people will die you, and everyone you care about." Kaido's face darkened. A smiling image of Akagi flickered through his mind. He answered evenly, as if he would expected this. "There is only one way to neutralize that, sever the connection between his brain and the prosthetic arm. Decapitation, destroy the brain, or render him unconscious." He cut in coldly. Akatsuki blinked. Kaido knew that. Did not he? Kaido's tone remained calm. "I said I know. Twin blade, but also," he emphasized, "I did not come here to kill you." Kaido squared his hands into a fighting stance, eyes full of resolve. "I came to stop you." At that, Akatsuki could not help but laugh aloud. He bounced on his toes, testing the waters. "You think you can stop something like that?" In an instant, Akatsuki vanished. He charged in front of Kaido, screaming, "Fujiwara Kaido." A storm of punches slammed toward Kaido. He dodged and parsed the attack pattern on the fly. This body was weaker than Akatsuki's, so his only advantage was knowing Akatsuki's temperament and tactics. A punch came at him. Kaido dipped to evade while watching. In close, when Akatsuki fought hand to hand, he always began with that move. Akatsuki then tossed two cube-shaped devices. Kaido's reflexes kicked in. "Here they come." Akatsuki snapped his fingers. A dry crack sliced the tense air. The cubes detonated in blinding flashes and thunderous booms. Dust and gray smoke billowed out. Kaido raised an arm to shield his face, squinting against the glare. They were close-range flash charges meant to blind and deafen, and to set up the real strike. True to Kaido's read, the main follow-up was a left hook. Akatsuki's left hook arced up, cleaving through the haze. Seizing the opening, Kaido closed the distance and threw a punch that cracked ribs. Akatsuki did not flinch. He spun and answered with a right hook. Kaido saw the punch coming, crouched, and used the motion to spring backward, buying himself space. Akatsuki could not help but clap in appreciation. Nice dodge. Stepping back to avoid that impact was a smart read. If you had taken that blow straight on from this prosthetic, it could have ripped your arm off. He paused, studying Kaido with a probing glare. "That is not everything you have got, is it?" Akatsuki hooked a finger and taunted, "If you really are Gungnir, show me." After that near miss, Kaido's rib had already cracked. He forced himself to rise, thinking he is strong. One of the 12 blades is not something you topple just because you understand their style. Kaido took a slow, steady breath and sifted through his memory. He reminded himself who he was, a retired killer, no longer entitled to the simple happiness Mirai had talked about. Still, he was alive for a reason. He found his resolve and readied his stance again. His gaze sharpened. A fighting will kindled in his pupils. No matter what, Kaido charged forward. Whatever the opponent, he swore he would not kill again. He fought for the people who mattered, for Tuji, for himself. Then, at that instant, Akatsuki struck with a blinding, thunderous blow. Pain stabbed through Kaido's skull like an invisible blade. His vision blurred. What was that? My head, it is burning. Akatsuki's voice cut through, snapping Kaido back. Why are you spacing out? Then the barrage resumed, punching after punching. Kaido struggled to block and evade. The onslaught was relentless. He simply could not defend against everything. He narrowed his focus, analyzing the opponent's eye movement, breathing, shifting balance, footwork. Akatsuki suddenly threw a kick. Kaido crossed his forearms to absorb it. The blow still shoved him backward a long step, creating distance. Akatsuki did not stop. He pulled out another cube and booted it forward. It flew straight at where Kaido had just been shielding. It was a grenade, and in an instant it detonated, flame roaring up. Kaido's clothes were torn and singed, but he stayed on his feet, squinting against the heat and smoke. He felt it then. Akatsuki was going to finish him here. Sense it, he told himself, feel it in everything Akatsuki was radiating. He would move behind Kaido, his fist already coiled and ready. A flash of the surgery flickered through Kaido's mind. His eyes snapped open, everything about Akatsuki, every motion, every intent suddenly clear. The explosion rattled across the rooftop, a harsh report that made the air shudder. Akatsuki froze, eyes wide in stunned disbelief at what unfolded before him. Facing him, Kaido had somehow caught the incoming punch. What the? He spoke slowly, voice calm. I can feel it, your anger, your intent to kill me. Kaido's eyes widened. A spark seemed to flare at the corner of his vision. But my will does not stop at something like that. With your rage, the intent you carry, I will take it all on. Akatsuki's strike was stopped cold. While he still stared in disbelief, Tuji spoke up. I can feel it, Akatsuki, your anger, your intent to kill me. Tuji had not just felt it. He had seized Akatsuki's fist and held tight. But my will won't be stopped by something like that, Tuji went on. With a sudden, new surge of power, he seemed to roar inwardly, take all of it, your rage, your killing intent, I will shoulder it. The abrupt shift in the opponent caught Akatsuki off guard. He scrambled back to clear distance, regaining his wits, panting. Tuji's head ached as if struck by a hammer. Sudden things snapped into clarity, not only what lay before him, but as if his eyes had been granted a new sight. Tuji felt new information pouring straight into his mind. Even Akatsuki's own fighting essence streamed into him. Akatsuki was still reeling, asking himself what had happened. In a split second, the balance of will between them had changed. He replayed the last few minutes in his head. The final strike had fallen outside his prediction and perception. How could Tuji have blocked it? It was as if Tuji knew exactly where he would hit. That did not mean he would concede. If an opponent changed, the challenge only grew. Akatsuki bristled, thinking, this is getting interesting. He readied himself. His power flared again. Bowing his head slightly, he said coolly, flame fist. I do not care what you are thinking. Underneath that calm voice, fury simmered. He promised to crush Tuji. Seeing that, Tuji felt his mind struck by lightning. This signaled Akatsuki's return to form. Sure enough, Akatsuki unleashed another device, an explosion, the technique he called Meteor Explosive Flame Dance. Then he accelerated, lunging in. Under the barrage, all Tuji could hear were cataclysmic detonations. He could not afford to drop his guard. Hidden within the smoke were strikes capable of ending him at any second. Another explosive detonated in a wall of dust. When the smoke finally began to clear, the chain of blasts ended with Akatsuki sneering, "You really are a pesky dog." Light returned to reveal the battlefield. The blasts had carved a wide circle between the two fighters. Akatsuki looked at Tuji, who stood battered, and allowed a rueful remark. Well, if killing you were that easy, having one of the 12 blades show up would not mean a thing. He glared at the ragged figure before him. Right, Fujiwara Kaido. Elsewhere, the commotion was waking the little dog. A woman frowned and muttered, "What is that noise?" She wondered if it was fireworks, but there were not any to be seen. All she could make out were the two opponents, constantly weaving through the relentless explosions. Tuji moved forward and backward at the same time, only able to defend and watch carefully. He could not actually see Akatsuki's fists slicing through the shockwaves to dodge in time, but even so, the power was not against him. Tuji's eyes widened, thinking, I know Akatsuki's movements already. He began to analyze. Akatsuki was throwing 4 bombs. They would explode 2 meters in front of him. In Tuji's eyes, Akatsuki's movements seemed to slow just enough for him to understand the plan and think of a countermeasure. Before they detonate, I will scatter them all. And just like that, Tuji kicked the 4 bombs away before they could explode, leaving Akatsuki staring in stunned disbelief. The bombs detonated simultaneously, sending fire and smoke billowing across the battlefield. The tremendous force of 4 explosions forced Tuji to retreat slightly, defending himself. Even though he could not see clearly through the smoke, Tuji's senses sharpened to an extraordinary degree. He could feel Akatsuki approaching from the left. Sure enough, Akatsuki lunged through the smoke with a powerful strike, but Tuji evaded it. He even counterattacked, leaving Akatsuki unable to respond in time. Repeated punches to Akatsuki's face made him increasingly unsettled. What the hell is this guy? Why can't I hit him? Akatsuki could not believe it. He analyzed furiously. His eyes and ears should have caught every move from the start. Even breathing in this scorching heat should have slowed him down. How can he track my every step? He reached a conclusion, this feeling it was as if Tuji could see through everything, exactly like. A shadow overlapped the figure of Fujiwara Kaito before him. Akatsuki could not help recalling the earlier introduction, Gungnir of the 12 Blades, that was my name. Fear and fury surged through him. Do not lie to me. In his mind, he refused to believe it. If this really was Tuji. He screamed, why are you appearing before me now? Tuji panted heavily, But even as exhaustion and reality weighed on him, he thought, even if I can predict his movements, Akatsuki is too fast. With this untrained body, I can't withstand the heat and light from these bombs any longer. I can't keep running forever if I want to win. Tuji dug his heels into the ground and ordered himself, do not retreat. Akatsuki charged in as well. He looked at Akatsuki and thought, he has stopped moving, there is nowhere to run now. Even if you can predict my steps, it won't matter anymore. In his hand he held a handful of bombs. If you think you can dodge all of these, then go ahead and try. Akatsuki closed his eyes and flung the primed explosives toward Tuji. Seeing there was no stopping now, Tuji told himself he had to keep going. His eyes snapped wide and he lunged forward. If this was it, he decided, he would never let anyone be miserable again. Akatsuki would not yield either. He snapped his fingers and detonated the bombs. That cluster of explosives produced a blast even more ferocious than the one before. Tuji kept coming. Though a cold fear gnawed at him, he could not see Akatsuki, but he knew the other man was right in front of him, right here. Akatsuki still clutched another bomb. He slipped aside from Tuji's strike thinking, I knew you would rush in this time, it is over. He ground his teeth and lunged. Snarling, blow his brains out, Fujiwara Kaito. But Tuji seemed to hear the blow coming. He swung his elbow and struck Akatsuki's prosthetic wrist. It shattered. Akatsuki's eyes went wide. Tuji told himself, I heard you. Akatsuki, you were aiming for my head. Though his vision was still blurry, Tuji's quick hands ripped off Akatsuki's prosthetic arm, yanked him in, and slammed an elbow into him. Akatsuki, Tuji roared. He struck down hard, as if to crush everything in his path. Then, while his opponent was still reeling, delivered another kick. Akatsuki spat a mouthful of blood. He was kicked clear off the field and knocked unconscious. Before Akatsuki lost consciousness completely, he whispered Tuji's name, Tuji-san. Memories flooded him. He had once begged in fear, are you really going to leave here alive? Leave me and go. But the Tuji he would known had said, I just do not want them to die, my comrades. Tuji had explained then, perhaps selfishly for an assassin, but that was exactly why he made that choice. It was dawn by then. Sunlight bathed both men. Tuji told him, no matter how many enemies I face, I will pursue my own justice. When Akatsuki woke later, he looked wrecked like a stray dog, broken and ashamed. He asked tiredly to the man beside him, why did you save me? Tuji explained simply, as long as I could disarm the bombs, that was enough. I do not want to kill anyone else. Akatsuki gave a self-mocking laugh. What are you trying to do? He tried to reason with him. I am surprised you went this far, but you can't take down the organization by yourself. Tuji shot back, I will win. I absolutely will because of that. When he said those words, the rising sun seemed to glare in Akatsuki's face. The exhaustion after the fight made him reel. In Tuji's silhouette, Akatsuki saw a trace of the man he once knew, speaking of a kind of justice, the only justice, one that Tuji, a former killer, could pursue. He remembered the time he would chosen to go with Tuji. Come on, go with me, Akatsuki, he remembered saying. Then Tuji turned back and promised Akatsuki, to the merchants and to Odin, I swear I will defeat them. Tuji's face was scratched, streaks of red running down his handsome features. He stood tall before Akatsuki and declared in a firm, slightly halting voice, I will win. I absolutely will win against the merchants and Odin. His gaze grew colder, more resolute. I will be the only one to defeat them. Akatsuki, his own face scraped and smeared, tilted his head back in stunned disbelief, staring at the man before him. Then he suddenly quirked his lips, muttering something, and broke into laughter, ignoring the deadly glare fixed on him. Ha ha ha. Defeat the merchants and Odin. Are you serious? You have lost it. Tuji glanced at the man sitting on the ground laughing at him and frowned. Humph. Even if you do not believe me. Before he could finish, Akatsuki said something that left Tuji momentarily dumbfounded. I believe you. Akatsuki looked straight into his eyes, his voice serious. You are Tuji. Those words froze Tuji for a few seconds. He could hardly believe what he was hearing. Akatsuki smiled faintly. The only one who could speak such crazy things with seriousness. It is you, Tuji, at least as far as I know. Tuji's eyes widened, studying the man in front of him, the one who had chosen to trust him, who had believed in his insane words, Akatsuki. Akatsuki sank to the ground, leaning against the steps behind him, puzzled. Why do you look like this? Were not you dead on a mission? Not letting him dwell on it, Tuji stepped closer and spoke. I thought I was dead too. But then, he recalled the memory, a man, blood dripping from his mouth, eyes half open, tears frozen on the floor. The next fragment was of a boy, terrified, and when he awoke, he had become Fujiwara Kaido. Back in the present, Tuji pushed his hair aside, pointing to the row of stitches stretching across his forehead. Perhaps. Tuji is here. Right here. Witnessing the gesture and hearing the words come straight from his mouth, Akatsuki jolted, stunned, his voice breaking with disbelief. No. How? Is this possible? And yet Tuji's eyes were sharper than ever. The one who gave the order to kill me is almost certainly Odin, he said, his gaze unflinching. An old man, frowning, long beard the same color as his hair, wearing a crown and a fur-trimmed robe just like a real king. The sudden flood of information hit Akatsuki like a hammer to the head, leaving him shaken. Tuji's voice grew even more serious as he stared at the seated Akatsuki. I need strength. So, you will help me, won't you? Akatsuki wavered between shock and disbelief. Tuji's words stirred memories of the past, of someone calling him the same way, Akatsuki. Come with me. Slowly, he stood and laughed. Haha. What are you saying? Then he turned decisively, refusing. I give up. Now I know. You really are Tuji. I can't kill you. Tuji watched Akatsuki walk away, his back turned, and seized the moment to ask one last question. You are going back to the organization. Akatsuki hesitated, shaking his head. No way. After handling things alone and failing like this, there is no place left for me. Tuji paused, absorbing the answer, uncertain of what would come next. Sensing Tuji's intention, Akatsuki cut him off decisively. I have already decided after looking at it. I can't believe Odin would actually kill you, Tuji. Those words left Tuji standing completely still, speechless. Even as he walked away, Akatsuki did not forget to warn him. You should get going too, Tuji. Someone's probably already alerted the police after all those bombs. Looks like the school's going to be closed for a while. With that, Akatsuki disappeared, leaving Tuji standing there alone. Tuji began to stagger, muttering under his breath, Akatsuki, and then suddenly collapsed. In his final moments of awareness, he barely registered what was happening. What? What is happening, my consciousness? It is slipping away. A man's voice called out from nearby, near where Tuji lay unconscious. It is time. As planned, I will bring Gungnir back. Pain flared across his body. His brows furrowed, and sweat poured down his forehead. In the back of his mind, he could still hear someone calling him. Tuji. Wake up. Tuji. What? Someone's calling me. Then, suddenly, his eyes snapped open. He looked around, gradually sensing strange changes in his body. Where? Am I my body? The unfamiliar voice continued, You are finally awake. A figure flew toward him, and he felt it as if they were inside him, and he was inside them. The figure gradually became clear. Tuji's face appeared, gentle, with a soft smile. The words stunned him. You are. The voice continued, Protect Yuzuha. With that power. Wait. Tuji reached out, as if to grasp the person who had spoken. Wait. A golden dog appeared. Woof. Fujiwara Kaido woke up with a start from the nightmare, blinking. Where am I? The TV blared the news, reporting a string of explosions at the high school. Earlier today, around 5 a.m., an incident occurred at a local high school. A suspicious object exploded. Police believe it may be connected to similar incidents from the past few days. Look, Mom, Kaido's school is on the news, Fujiwara Teru said to his wife after seeing the broadcast. Hearing about the incident at their son's school, Fujiwara Kyoko felt a wave of fear and worry. I heard there was a bomb this morning. Did you see the news? Teru noticed her concern and tried to reassure her. Do not worry so much. The boy's just exhausted from the series of dangerous events. Besides, I heard the school will be closed for a few days. He will recover with a little rest. Meanwhile, Fujiwara Kaido lay sprawled across his bed, one arm wrapped around his dog, eyes vacant as he stared up at the ceiling. Exhausted, Kaido's eyes gradually drooped, and he thought to himself, my head is still such a mess. Have I really been asleep for half a day? He gently stroked John, who was sleeping soundly on his chest, reflecting on everything that had happened recently. Suddenly, a wave of dizziness hit him as he remembered being on the rooftop, and when he came to, he was already back in his room. His injuries had been treated, but by whom? It could not have been Akatsuki. He recalled Akatsuki's expression at that moment, a mixture of doubt and astonishment, and Kaido's mind lingered on one unresolved thought. Akatsuki. He finally believes I am Tuji. Kaido lifted his arm, clenching his hand into a fist. Have I shown enough strength to prove that I am truly one of the 12 war gods in this body? He lay there for a long time, staring at his hand, lost in thought. Memories of his past as Tuji came rushing back, the sensation of all of Akatsuki's thoughts pouring into him. Without that, he probably would not have survived. He remembered the intensity of his battles, how he fought to defeat his enemies, and wondered about the state of his current body. Just as he was lost in these memories, his phone on the desk suddenly rang, snapping him back to reality. John, startled from his deep sleep, stirred beside him. The call was from Yuzuha. He picked up, trying to sound calm, but Yuzuha's voice immediately blared through the line. Kaido, what the hell? Why are you shouting like that? She did not pause, continuing briskly. I should be the one asking what happened. You did not even read my message this morning, huh? Kaido felt a pang of embarrassment at her bluntness. Sorry. I just woke up. He thought, though relief washed over him knowing she was safe. Yuzuha did not hold back. She launched into a stream of chatter about the latest news. Did you hear? Another explosion at the school. This time the entire rooftop was blown off. They are closing the school for a whole week. She rambled on, but Kaido just let the phone rest nearby, occasionally giving a brief response to keep the conversation going. He thought silently, Akatsuki really went all out this time. Suddenly, her voice faltered, hesitant. Something felt off. Kaido remained quiet, letting her continue. She stammered, Kaido. You were not involved in this, right? The question made him flinch slightly, and he glanced at his phone. Yuzuha, gaining momentum, continued expressing everything on her mind. It has been 2 weeks since you were discharged, and there has been trouble almost every day. And today, I heard you went to school early, but came back because you were not feeling well. The truth is, you were injured in the explosion, right? Kaido listened silently to every word, unable to respond at the moment. She is as perceptive as ever, he thought in admiration. Finally, he spoke up, not answering her question directly. But, were not you also in danger, Yuzuha? She replied without hesitation, yeah, that is true. But, realizing that Yuzuha was worried about him, Kaido reassured her, do not worry. I have already made my decision. His brows furrowed, eyes cold and determined, he answered firmly, no matter what happens, I will protect you, Yuzuha. Hearing this, Yuzuha's voice trembled, her cheeks flushing a bright red like 2 ripe tomatoes. She exclaimed loudly, what? Why are you suddenly saying something like that? I did not expect you to distract me with such a cool line out of nowhere. Caught off guard by her outburst, Kaido froze, unsure what was happening. Realizing the misunderstanding, he quickly clarified, no, that is not what I meant. Forget what I just said. Suddenly, the sound of the doorbell rang. Kyoko hurried to open the door. Come here. She looked around, no one was there. But then, her gaze fell to a mysterious box at her feet. Standing outside Kaido's room, she called in, Kaido, are you awake? He quickly replied, yes, I am. She picked up the mysterious box and continued, here's a package for you. I will leave it out here in the hallway. Thank you, he murmured, but a question lingered in his mind. A package for me, but I do not remember ordering anything. After placing the package down, she added, dinner's ready. If you want to eat, come on by. Knowing Kaido had plans, Yuzuha quickly said, it is time already, I guess I will go then. Bye, Kaido. All right, see you later, he replied. After hanging up, he picked up the package, feeling its weight 285 grams. He carefully tore off the tape, thinking to himself, there is no trap on this box. His eyes widened in shock. Inside was Gungnir's knife. The knife lay neatly on a red cloth, accompanied by a small piece of paper. Kaido's curiosity deepened. Why had this come from someone who knew the truth about him? He picked up the paper and read it, his brows furrowed. It has been sent to Kaido's house. I need to meet them. From someone who knows the truth about me, I must meet the sender. Kaido stared at the knife, neatly placed atop the red cloth, quietly deducing the situation. The delivery had come 3 hours after the knife, dating back to when Tuji was still an assassin, had been sent to Fujiwara Kaido's address. Shinjuku District, a specific location. That night, he silently made his way there, his mind racing with calculations and conjectures. Despite being near the train station, the streets were unusually sparse. Sensing something suspicious, his face darkened, his gaze sharper and colder than ever. Could it really be that the person who sent this knife had chosen a place like this? The knife from the package was carefully wrapped and securely hidden inside his coat. Kaido studied the small note that had accompanied the knife. Holding it in his hand, he speculated endlessly. The numbers etched on the blade were coordinates. Someone who knew the truth about him had finally reached out. Memories of the doctor who had operated on him surfaced, a figure who had changed everything. Kaido brushed his hair back to reveal the long scar, a mark that reminded him of that time the mind of Tuji transferred into this body, Fujiwara Kaido. Hiding in a shadowed corner, Kaido scanned his surroundings until finally, he found it. He was standing in front of the building he had been searching for, an old, multifunctional structure, perfect for evading prying eyes. He opened the door and stepped inside, surveying the interior. The lobby was empty yet. Kaido walked deeper. There was not a single person in sight, only old, scattered objects piled haphazardly, with the occasional scuttling of insects echoing through the space. Mystery hung thick in the air, with no way of knowing what lay ahead. Yet he pressed on, inspecting every corner, leaving no stone unturned. After some exploration, he realized what he had suspected. The person who had sent the knife was indeed here, guiding him. Cautiously, Kaido descended the stairs, feeling his way along each step. He slowly opened a door, peering into the darkness, surveying the area. Ahead of him lay an underground parking garage. He moved forward without hesitation. Whoever had called him here, surely they were nearby. As he advanced, suddenly a beam of light shot directly toward his head. But with his agility, keen senses, and lightning-fast reflexes, Kaido calmly dodged just in time. An arrow suddenly lodged itself into a nearby pillar. Kaido furrowed his brows, his gaze sharpening bows and arrows. He did not have to wait long. A man emerged from the shadows. Kaido had avoided the first shot, and the man did not seem particularly fazed. The man was heavily tattooed, towering, and muscular, holding a bow. Beside him, a red-haired woman advanced toward Kaido. She spoke up, "This can't be a coincidence. They said Gungnir can even dodge bullets easily." The two, Raoul and Reika, observed Kaido standing calmly before them. Reika commented, "At least for now, his mind is still sharp." Calm as he appeared, Kaido maintained a defensive stance, ready to strike at any moment. The pair of strangers, male and female, prompted him to ask, "You are the ones who called me here." The question, he clarified, was only for those worthy of an answer. As he spoke, he knocked another arrow, his movements quick and precise. Pointing the arrow directly at Kaido, his voice cold, the man added, "Prove you are worthy by taking us down." With that, another arrow shot forward. As before, Kaido dodged with ease. He realized, however, that someone else's eyes were watching him from the shadows. Reika attacked suddenly from behind. Having observed her earlier, Kaido reacted swiftly, dodging her strike. The wall behind her bore the brunt of the attack, a corner caved in from the impact. Recognizing her miss, Reika glanced back, impressed. Kaido had quickly put some distance between them, leaving a pile of shattered bricks in his wake. Without giving a moment's pause, Reika struck again. Her next attack forced Kaido to be cautious. Her Baji-style strike carried power comparable to a mid-level spear. Yet even with that, Kaido had already countered her first move. 1 strike, 2, 3, he blocked every blow, never allowing a single hit to land. His focus on defense was relentless, his mind calculating, creating openings with his bow, then finishing in close combat with precise coordination. Suddenly, a flash of blue light erupted. Raoul launched an attack from behind. Whether the strike came first or later, Kaido calmly evaded it. The two worked in tandem, one in front, one behind, attacking without pause. Yet Kaido refused to yield. Agile and quick, he dodged one after another, leaving Reika and Raoul stunned. Unable to land a single hit, the two grew frustrated. Kaido seized a brief lapse in their guard. He delivered a punch to Reika's stomach and a kick to Raoul's face. The force of his strike sent them flying hundreds of meters, slamming into the wall. Raoul clutched his scratched face, thinking, what just happened? Then he roared, that bastard, and charged at Kaido with the speed of the wind. The sensation struck Kaido instantly, familiar and sharp, the same feeling he had faced when confronting Akatsuki. The scar running across Kaido's forehead, and eye glimmered faintly with a blue light. He remained in a defensive stance, ready to strike at any moment. I can sense it before I even see it, he thought. I can anticipate my opponent's next move. In his mind, images of Raoul and his incoming attacks flashed one after another, left-right combinations, for strikes in rapid succession. He will start by lowering his left arm. If I know that much already. Raoul lunged at him. Kaido's hand shot up, intercepting the punch before it could land. No need to dodge. Spatial awareness, reaction speed, predictive movement. Taking advantage of the opening, Kaido countered instantly. Raoul's eyes rolled back, his jaw falling open as his body accelerated against its will. A hook to the jaw. A kick to the stomach. The kick was so powerful it sparked, sending Raoul spinning several times before he crashed headfirst into the floor. Reika, still hurting from Kaido's earlier blow, could only sit there, stunned, as she watched Raoul go down. Her voice trembled. Impossible. To take both of us down like that. Watching the way Kaido fought, she realized with a start, this is the assassin known as the strongest Gungnir. Not bad, Raoul muttered, slowly forcing himself up after the barrage. Though Kaido could see Raoul was injured, his own eyes remained razor-sharp. Despite the beating, Raoul was still. At that moment, Raoul's face twisted with rage. He could not believe he had been overpowered so easily. He growled, "It is over now. I am going all out." With that, his hand reached for something tucked inside a pouch at his waist. Sensing trouble, Reika screamed, "Stop, Raoul, that is against orders." But Raoul, blinded by fury, ignored her completely. "Shut up, Reika. I won't end it like this," humiliated. In that tense moment, a calm voice echoed through the underground garage. "You should stop, Raoul." A fourth set of footsteps approached. Both Kaido and Raoul turned toward the source of the voice. Kaido froze, his eyes widening in shock. That man was an older man in a white lab coat, adjusting his glasses as he walked. So, the brain replacement was indeed a success. It has been a long time, has not it, Tuji? That face. That voice. Kaido could not stop himself from blurting out, "Kuji Kyusuk, the surgeon of the Shogi Sha." Recognizing him, Kaido's questions spilled out, heavy with the weight of years. "You are the one who changed my brain, are not you all of this? Was it the Shogi Sha?" Seeing Kaido's composure slipping, the man spoke gently. "Calm yourself, Tuji." And before Kaido could ask again, the man continued, "I am the one who called you here. but I am not the one who changed your brain. And like you, I am no longer part of the Shogi-sha. What? Kaido's shock deepened. Memories surged through him in fragments: the day of his death, the operations, the betrayal. Let me tell you, Kuji said. What happened on the day you died? Reika and Raoul had silently moved to stand behind Kuji Kyusuke at some point. The older man went on, everything we know. Kaido could only stare at them, speechless, unable to form a single word. Kuji Kyusuke's expression was serious as he spoke. Let me tell you, Tuji. The day you died, you were lying there, writhing in pain, soaked in your own blood. Then, abruptly, you woke up as Fujiwara Kaido. Kuji Kyusuke's words continued, recounting what had happened. Everything we know. Kaido's eyes flicked from Kuji to Reika and Raoul standing nearby. For a moment, Fujiwara Kaido froze, speechless for 5 long seconds. Finally, he stammered, what about us? Kuji, who? Who are you really? Kuji Kyusuke responded calmly, we will take it one step at a time. He began his explanation. That day, there was an order issued to eliminate you. The person who carried it out was someone who used to be on your team. At his words, an image flashed in Kaido's mind, the face of hate. He gritted his teeth, silently repeating the name. Hate. Kuji Kyusuke's gaze darkened as he recalled past events. This plan was known only to a select few within the organization. I was one of them. I informed only those people, which is why they could take your brain from your body. In exchange, the Shogi-sha promised to protect me. After Tuji was gone, they opened the bag containing your body to proceed with the plan. Hearing this, Fujiwara Kaido began to piece together the situation. He asked, so, you betrayed the Shogi-sha. And these two? Realizing he meant Reika and Raoul, Kuji Kyusuke clarified. They are from the Argos Operation, a special strategic agency under the Japanese government, formed with the express purpose of dismantling the Shogi-sha. They are known as Argos. The ones who transplanted your brain into this boy. Are these Argos agents? Kuji Kyusuke fell silent for a moment as he finished explaining. Reika and Raoul glanced at Kaido in unison, Reika giving a sly wink, Raoul cracking his knuckles with a fierce look. Fujiwara Kaido did not care about their theatrics. Clenching his teeth, he asked, hatred in his voice, the Japanese government. My brain. Raoul's expression twisted in irritation. Hey, I am still a government official, you know. Reika's tone was lighter, a small smile forming. Nice to meet you, Gungnir. Then she quickly returned to her serious demeanor. The organization the government considers the most dangerous right now is the Shogi-sha. Raoul added bluntly, by keeping your brain here, we intend to bring you over to our side. Suddenly bombarded with information, Fujiwara Kaido's mind spun. He held his head, trying to process it all. Government. Argos. What are these people even talking about? The questions looped endlessly in his head. That was just a test to check the brain transplant progress. Thank goodness they did not actually kill me. You would think I was about to die that day. Overwhelmed and drenched in sweat, Kaido blurted out, in other words. That day you. He paused, faltering for a few seconds, his thoughts drifting to the memory of a girl weak, frustrated, unable to close her eyes. Kaido's eyes burned red with intensity, his entire aura radiating lethal intent as he spoke coldly. I also know Mirai will be killed. The combination of his words and the deadly aura left Reika stunned, her eyes widening in shock. Raoul, maintaining his arrogant attitude, spoke honestly. Who? Who is that? We were not at the scene. Fujiwara Kaido cut him off, his voice sharp, continuing, and also. His words were heavy with the power to perceive the enemy's intentions, each phrase followed by a ragged breath, his body trembling. No sooner had he asked his question, a side effect of the brain transplant procedure, than Fujiwara Kaido collapsed, fainting to the floor. Seeing him fall, Reika and Raoul panicked, shouting in unison, Hey, what is happening? Kuji Kyusuke, however, remained calm. With a hint of defiance in his tone, he asked, perceiving the enemy's intentions. Is that what you are saying? Even as Fujiwara Kaido lay unconscious on the floor, entirely without awareness, the conversation continued elsewhere. In a lit building, a voice called out from one of the rooms. Any news on Akatsuki? Izumo, still focused on his tablet, responded without looking up, no. Actually, he has cut off all communications. Akatsuki. Such a nuisance. But we, the 12 Spears, are allowed to make independent decisions, as long as it is not Odin interfering. Yashima said nothing, merely gazing calmly at the cityscape beyond the window. Izumo remained silent, absorbed in reading the news on his screen. Finally, Yashima spoke again, surely. Not even one of the 12 spears could be defeated, right? Izumo laughed lightly. Rarely see you joke like that, Yashima. I do not think Akatsuki will lose, unless his opponent is Gungnir. At the mention of Tuji, his image flashed vividly in their minds. Yashima relaxed slightly. Gungnir's power certainly surpasses Akatsuki's. But he is dead, and his body has likely been disposed of. Izumo, however, revealed a crucial detail. Yes, that is obvious. But there is also information indicating the plan was discovered. If there is a spy from Argos among us. His voice trailed off suddenly. The cold reflection of Yashima's face in the glass cracked subtly, and he muttered, "Then we need to move quickly, Izumo." His anger escalated, causing the glass to crack dramatically. Yashima's furious expression appeared through the shards. Coldly, he laid out his plan. Before we find Fenrir's seed, it seems we must block Argos first. Izumo nodded concisely. Understood. Meanwhile, Tuji dreamed, inhabiting his former identity. He found himself drifting in the void of space, panic rising in his voice. Where is this? Again. Suddenly, a voice rang out, calm and familiar. Yes. This is where you and I merge. Through the haze, he made out a figure's back. Recognizing it, he blurted out urgently then. You really are. Kaido. Fujiwara Kaido turned to face him. Tuji pressed again. Tell me, Kaido, this is your power, right? Fujiwara Kaido, standing across from him, answered, It is okay, Tuji. You should learn to recognize the true nature of this power. You should trust what you feel. He smiled, then his face faded. Kaido blinked slowly, vision blurred. He found himself lying in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking to himself that it had all been a dream like after fighting Akatsuki, the headache, the dizziness, losing consciousness. When he came to, Kaido's personality was still inside him. The scenes from the dream kept replaying in his head. A voice spoke to him. You are awake, Tuji. This is one of my bases connected to the parking garage from earlier. From the time you lost consciousness to when you woke, 1 hour and 50 minutes recorded. Kuji Kyusuk said this as he typed. Fujiwara Kaido slowly sat up. Kuji turned and looked at him seriously. I checked your brain while you slept. The neural readouts. Lines of brainwave data scrolled on the screen. There is no problem with the neural links. But your brain's activity is at an unbelievable level. Kaido frowned and said, Kuji. Kuji did not bother to look up. He kept typing and explained. During combat, it is likely even higher. The brain monitor trace keeps spiking. Images flickered through Kaido's mind as Kuji paused, then continued. Being able to sense an enemy's power leads to this reaction. I consulted the surgeon who performed the operation, and what I can tell you is this is dangerous. It is a severe overload state that can knock you out for hours. If it continues, his fingers flew over the keyboard, but his words cut off for a moment. Suddenly a blade pressed against Kuji's throat. Fujiwara Kaido forced his voice out, menacing and controlled. I still have not heard the answer to my earlier question. You let Mirai die and kept me alive, did not you? His words were ice cold. His eyes burned with murderous intent. Kuji continued typing calmly and, as if brushing off the accusation, said, Do not take it out on me, Tuji. I do not know anything about the plan to kill that woman. Then, half joking, half serious, he glanced at him and added, Or do you want to be erased together with that woman? Kaido's brow tightened. Kuji's casual line irritated him. At that moment, a foot kicked the door open and someone shouted, Hey, drop the knife, now. Raoul and Reika stood in the doorway. Raoul sneered and shot back at Fujiwara Kaido. The Shogi Sha is a terrifying organization trying to tear the world back to its primordial state. And now a former leader of that group is lecturing me. You do not answer. He clicked his tongue in annoyance. Kuji Kyusuk finally sheathed the knife and tucked it away inside his coat. He turned back to Kaido and said seriously, The upper leadership of Argos believes there are 2 keys to defeating the Shogi Sha. One is Gungnir, and the other is he could not hide the frown that crossed his face. We can't let them get their hands on it, the treasure called the Fenrir seed. At that name, Kuji's expression tightened. Hearing it, Fujiwara Kaido froze as if struck. His whole body went rigid. Treasure. The word echoed in his head. The treasure Yuzuha stands to inherit. Akatsuki's goal. The image of Yuzuha's family and Akatsuki flashed reflexively in his mind. After a moment, Kaido spoke, voice flat. "So what do you want me to do?" Raoul, surprised at how quickly Kaido's demeanor had shifted, called out, "You are really going to join us?" But Tuji's steadiness, the unbreakable resolve that now sat in Fujiwara Kaido's body, came through as Kaido answered quietly. "That does not mean I will join you. I decided from the start I will wipe out the Shogi-sha." Raoul relaxed and shrugged, half mocking. "Same hobby, huh? Easier to believe you now." Kaido turned serious and studied the data on the screen. Kuji Kyusuk outlined the plan. "We have already planned this. We will strike one of their facilities. We want you to take part. It is my old workplace. The place you used to be." At those words, Fujiwara Kaido went still for a few seconds. Kuji continued, bringing up a genetic sample on the display. "Most of their staff do not even know where it is. They are researching forced human evolution, one of the Shogi-sha's most important bases. The Avalon Research Institute. There is even a team there studying the Fenrir seed. It is the core of all their research. Security is extremely tight. To sum up," Kuji said bluntly, "we need to investigate Avalon to learn exactly what the Fenrir seed is and what they plan to do with it." Fujiwara Kaido listened silently, thinking. He did not answer right away. He considered the true nature of the treasure. If he goes there, he will find out why Yuzuha has become a target. Then he asked for the essential details: date, time, and a brief rundown of the operation. Outside, the crescent moon hung high. Somewhere above, a plane cruised at 3,500 meters. Kuji Kyusuk cautioned carefully, "Listen, Tuji, if the operation succeeds, we can strike a blow against the Shogi-sha. If you can seize and destroy their research, we are counting on you." Fujiwara Kaido rolled the knife in his hand. He bowed his head and fell into thought. Kaido began to calculate logistics. 5 minutes until infiltration of the Avalon Research Institute. The crescent moon hung high. The aircraft system announced the flight data. Current altitude 3,500 meters, outside temperature below freezing, wind at 23 meters per second, 3 minutes to the target. Raoul gripped his rifle and glanced at Fujiwara Kaido. "You are not scared?" he asked. Kaido idly rolled the knife between his fingers and answered calmly, "Same as you." Still, his mind was crowded with thoughts. Finally, "We go." Before the insertion, in Argo's command, Kuji Kyusuk pointed to the projection and ran through the plan. The Avalon Research Institute has 20 floors and multiple subterranean levels. It was originally a site for research and assassin training, but now it is used for genetic intervention research, selecting and producing even more powerful killers. The screen switched to an image of a genetic profile analysis. Reika, standing nearby, snorted and remarked, "A factory that uses humans as raw material to make monsters delightful." Kuji continued, "Your objective is the deepest basement, sublevel 3. He tapped the schematic. Critical data is stored there, including research on the Fenrir seed. Raoul, standing beside him, took up the briefing. "Our mission is to recover that data. If possible, take control of Avalon. We will split into a diversion force and an infiltration team." He added with a frown, "Avalon's existence is a tightly held secret. Security may not be as heavy as a military base, but because we do not know what is inside, the unknown danger of the break-in is higher." Suddenly Kaido spoke up, "I will infiltrate." He hesitated for a moment, then his voice hardened with resolve. "No, let me do it." Raoul, seeing the tension in Kaido, chuckled and tried to ease him. "Hey, do not worry. It is only a plan. I already told you why we kept you alive. Your life will serve to protect the world's peace." Then, seeing Kaido's serious face, he added politely, "Anyway, I will be the one to insert. Glad to cooperate with you, Gungnir." The aircraft system announced again, 90 seconds to target, prepare to descend. Kaido checked his gear and stowed the knife. Raoul, Reika, and the rest readied themselves. Raoul reminded everyone, "Do not leave your assigned positions." Reika continued the rundown. Team 1, 100 people take the roofs. Team 2, 100 people head for the main gate. She turned to Kaido with a nod of encouragement. "We will make a loud distraction. Good luck with the infiltration." Kaido replied shortly, "Understood." Raoul added, "We will approach from the south, Gungnir." Peering down through the aircraft door into the cloud cover, Raoul muttered, I can't see anything below these clouds. Fujiwara Kaido beside him said casually, "It will be fine." He scanned the terrain below and assessed mentally. "I can feel it. Avalon is right beneath us." As the aircraft system announced they were approaching the target, Kaido leaned close to Raoul and spoke quietly. "Raoul, one thing before we jump." Raoul looked at him, puzzled. The aircraft system began the final countdown, 5, 4, 3. Just before the last seconds, Fujiwara Kaido said with absolute certainty, "I am not Gungnir anymore. I am Fujiwara Kaido." The announcement came, "Commence operation." Kaido was to jump first, then Raoul, and then the rest of the organization. Seeing Kaido go so fast, Raoul shouted after him, "Hey, you are jumping way too fast. That is dangerous, you idiot." Kaido ignored him and dove. In his head, he ran through his plan. Avalon, the Shogi Shah's human experiment facility, where most assassins were trained, and the answers it must hold about why Yuzuha has become a target. As the research complex came into view, Kaido thought, "There it is, Avalon." A mechanical voice crackled in Raoul's headset. "Deployment point approaching in 3, 2, 1." Then, before Raoul could get his bearings, he cried out in shock. What the system triggered. Both Kaido's and Raoul's parachutes deployed at once. The organization's people opened their chutes too. They were preparing to touch down. Even after his chute slowed him, Raoul still gaped in disbelief and blurted, "You did that? I thought I was a goner." Kaido did not answer. He said only, "Hide the chutes." Now. They ducked into the scrub. Kaido surveyed the site and said soberly, like Kuji said South Materials Intake, "We can infiltrate there." They moved quickly toward a service door. Raoul took charge. "Leave it to me, I will get the rolling gate open." Kaido froze. An explosion rocked the area. Watching the flash, he muttered, "It is started." Raoul's radio crackled. Reika reporting in. Team 1 had begun. Reika signaled that Teams 1 and 2 had created the planned distraction. Kaido and Raoul could act now. Raoul, clutching the breaching kit, replied, "Copy. We are open on this side." The rolling gate swung up. Raoul gestured for Kaido to go in first. "You go ahead, former Gungnir." Kaido obeyed and ducked through. Alarms screamed inside the facility as the internal PA blared, "Attention. Suspicious activity detected outside the institute. All security units report immediately to the main gate and roof. Repeat, prioritize securing the main gate and rooftop." Researchers inside panicked. "We are under attack from outside. This can't be. No one can assault a Shogi Shah facility." Kaido led the way, Raoul following with his weapon. Raoul scanned the compound and then whispered, "Looks like Reika and the others did their job. It is quiet now. Have all security units moved to the main gate and rooftop." Through his sensory feed, Kaido saw guards rushing toward those locations. Seeing Kaido move so quickly, Raoul froze for a full 5 seconds, then shouted after him, "Hey, wait up." The guards on the other side were shouting to one another, "Two intruders this way." One soldier peeked his head out, then Fujiwara Kaido smashed the protective glass over him with his knife. The man screamed in pain. "What?" He clutched his eye and collapsed against the wall. 3 guards behind him froze, shocked and unable to process what had just happened. When one of them finally snapped back, he shouted to the others, "Scatter, spread out." Fujiwara Kaido's eyes blazed. He fixed himself on them and thought, too slow. He lunged like a bolt, his reflexes evading gunfire as he closed the distance to the nearest man. The soldier did not stand a chance. Kaido ended him in one motion. Before losing consciousness, the man only managed so fast. The 2 remaining guards behind Kaido did not dare relax. One of them sneered with disgust and clicked his tongue. Even so, Fujiwara Kaido moved like lightning, taking them out one after the other, a punch to one, a kick to the other. They had no time to react and were sent flying. Raoul then arrived on the scene. A guard collapsed at his feet, screaming in pain. Raoul looked at Kaido with stunned disbelief and blurted, "For real." Under his breath, he could not help but admire what he would seen. These enemy moves were unnaturally fast, and Kaido had killed 4 men with a single blade. How much did he hold back when fighting me and Reika? Raoul thought. This is the legendary Gungnir. What kind of monster is this? Raoul began, but Kaido cut him off with a terse command. "Stairs this way. Move." Their run was recorded in its entirety. In the observation room, Izumo watched every move. He muttered, while they wiped out those upgraded assassins that easily, only 2 intruders breached Avalon, and the guy with the knife not bad. "Do you like him?" someone asked. Guy Balgomega, munching on a drumstick, replied delightfully, I do. He looks tasty. Between bites he added, if I wipe them all out, I can have whatever I want like you guys, right? He did not stop eating for a second. Izumo encouraged him smoothly. Of course the divine mission Odin set for you is to protect Avalon. Omega Dano, Izumo continued, coaxing, show us your power. If you succeed, you will be recognized as one of the Shogi Gibalg of the 12. Hearing that, Gibalg bared his sharp teeth in a mad laugh. Finally a strength test that is not part of my lab experiments. Time to kill, and kill, and kill humans, he snarled, his face turning savage. He watched Fujiwara Kaido and Raoul on the screen and let out a perverse laugh. Hey human. Back by the intruders, Raoul hurriedly urged him. Hey, what are you doing? Backup should be here any second, former Gungnir. Fujiwara Kaido stood perfectly still, lost in Kuji Kyusuk's words. The genetic intervention research to selectively breed more assassins to create killers like him, to forge this kind of power over time. He tightened his grip on the knife, voice cold. This place. They made killers like me here. This power after all that time. Raoul, not catching the words at first, stepped closer and called, huh. Fujiwara Kaido snapped back to himself and said, let us go. He clenched the blade again. Murderous intent radiated off him. Firmly, he declared, I will deny their creed, their belief that the world can only be changed by killing people. The alarm blared. Intruders are in the basement. They are moving from basement 1 down to basement Z. Eliminate them immediately. Raoul tightened his rifle and opened fire, cutting down the enemies in his path with deadly precision. Not giving the remaining opponents a chance to react, he spun and charged like a gust of wind, eyes ice cold, a furious shout ripping from him as he closed in, not on my watch. He rammed the butt of his gun into an enemy's chin, and the man flipped back. In the next instant, Raoul slammed the stock into the man's neck, dropping him on the spot, his motions decisive and efficient. Suddenly another attacker appeared behind Raoul, aiming a barrel at his back. Just as the bullet was about to punch into Raoul's spine, a kick smashed into the shooter's head, sending him flying. Fujiwara vaulted through the air, arriving in the nick of time to save Raoul. Raoul and Fujiwara moved with lightning-fast coordination. Sorry, Fujiwara, how many more are there? Raoul barked. Fujiwara dispatched assignments without hesitation. 2 headed towards 7 of the clock, for in front of us. I will take those 2 over there. The tempo of combat was intense, but the 2 remained calm and synchronized like they would done this 100 times. Cut to Omega, stretching his arms with a satisfied look. Perfect, he purred. If I get to eat like this every day, my armpits will ache from smiling. He demolished a huge plate of food in a heartbeat. All right, I am off. I will leave the rest to you, Izumo. Izumo laughed. Wow, you are leaving early, Omega. Be careful, Izumo warned. Avalon's masterpiece. Omega raised both arms and dropped down into the yawning depths of the underground level, murmuring, I like that knife-wielding kid. I want to gut him soon. Images of Fujiwara flashed through his mind. Omega's smile grew crazier. If that guy is prey for my enjoyment, he would better be strong enough to deserve it. Back in the basement, Raoul sprinted after Fujiwara, shouting, Hey Fujiwara, do you even know where we are going? Fujiwara did not answer, he was lost in his own thoughts. Externally he said nothing, but the deeper they went, the more memories flooded him. He saw a hand dripping blood, hanging by its side, clutching a short knife stained red, beside the corpse of a monstrous creature. He recalled being brought to Avalon when he was young. He saw himself wrapped in bandages with his head bound. This is where I went through all that assassin training and those experiments, Fujiwara muttered. He kicked through the heavy door ahead. We are here, Raoul said. This is the place Kuji mentioned, basement 3, the heart of the human experiments. A long corridor stretched before them. Training rooms, Fujiwara added. They moved forward. The place looked pretty empty, the most important samples and experiment records were probably already removed. Raoul agreed, probably. Still, if they fled in a hurry, they must have missed something. Suddenly Raoul froze. Ahead of them was a large glass chamber. Inside, a human body lay hooked to massive 4 lines. Fujiwara glanced over and said, It is already dead. Raoul put a hand on the system console and checked the readouts. Looks like it. I want to get out of this sick place as fast as possible. He added, keeping his voice controlled, This is proof using humans as weapons. Then he quickly concluded, But this is not the data we need. There must be something more important. Suddenly Fujiwara cried out, "Raoul, over here." The two of them hurriedly searched and cross-checked. The server data, this is where they store experimental records. Fujiwara shoved open a door and announced, "There is a device running in here." Raoul rushed to the unit to pull files. He brightened. "Got it." On the screen appeared the words, "Research Archive Access Level, Technical Advisor Open Folder, Project Fenrir." Raoul cheered, "This is it. Project Fenrir." Fujiwara frowned and thought it over. This is the true nature of the treasure. He scanned the dataset that had appeared. Project Fenrir Genetic Factor YH019 in the virtual model success, rate 92.7%. Supervisor notes, highly likely this factor is completed as a host vessel. Fujiwara murmured, "A factor." Raoul was surprised. So the Fenrir seed is not a weapon, it is a factor. With the Fenrir seed, the world could be returned to its origin. That is what these reports say, but Fujiwara rapidly analyzed. This data is odd. Target factor 019, Fenrir factor. Result compatibility rate 61.4%, compatibility level 61%, he frowned. The compatibility level does not match. Where's the other 92%? I get it. He fell into thought, then looked at Raoul with serious eyes. It is not that the compatibility level does not match. They stopped the combination. In other words, Fujiwara continued, someone altered the Fenrir factor, the real Fenrir seed, and made a fake. That is in the technical advisor's notes, recorded by G. Akaji. Technical advisor's notes by G. Akaji. A detail clicked in his mind. Chairman Akaji had once been a researcher at Avalon. Raoul seized on it right away. I get it. He was eliminated when they discovered he stole something. Anyway, we have got the data. Let us extract what we can and withdraw as fast as possible. But Fujiwara still felt unsettled and kept thinking. Tuji and Haidt had said Chairman Akaji stole the treasure. Did the organization think it had been passed to his daughter, Yuzuha, but he did not think the chairman actually had anything like that. Then a thought jolted him. So where is the Fenrir seed now? Suddenly both of them sensed something wrong, an odd shift in the air. Fujiwara tensed and scanned their surroundings, the scent of killing intent, a complicated, overwhelming emotion. Someone was approaching. They immediately began to retreat, Raoul calling out, "Wait, Fujiwara." They hurried down the stairs while shouting to one another. Reika was already preparing to pull back. "Something's down here, I do not know." Fujiwara froze mid-step, voice tight with alarm, but he is not going to let us escape. He could sense it in the air, a powerful emotion, not anger or sorrow. It was chaotic, almost impossible to describe, but undeniably strong. Raoul tilted his head, curiosity mixing with unease. "What do you mean by that? Did you take some weird drug or something?" The double doors slid open, revealing the interior. Both of them froze, staring straight inside. They realized they had entered a large, secluded room. What was this place? Carefully, they advanced, scanning their surroundings. Raoul sniffed the air, frowning. Smells like something's burning. And there is stuff piled up underfoot. Suddenly, a voice echoed from within. "Members of Argos, welcome. To the deepest part of Avalon, the final incineration site." Fujiwara tensed, alert. Who is there? From a hidden observation room, the voice continued, calm and almost amused. "My name is Izumo. Today I am just your recorder and guide, responsible for this little garden. I will be watching you work, and I am sure you will do splendidly." Raoul craned his neck, staring at the camera. "Watching us? You mean you are just standing there while we take the data?" Izumo's smile widened. "Exactly." She added lightly, "And to honor your courage in risking your lives to reach this place, I have prepared a few interesting surprises." Fujiwara's eyes instantly hardened. Instinctively, he stepped back from his position. Raoul, equally alarmed, jumped aside. He turned toward Fujiwara and shouted, "What the hell did you?" Before he could finish, a figure plunged from above, landing in the space between them with a massive explosion. The blinding light filled the room. Raoul raised his hands to shield his eyes, dumbstruck. "What the hell was that above?" he yelled. "Did you just summon a dinosaur or something?" A voice rang out, taunting. "Huh. You two are still alive, did not get hit, huh?" Omega's hands clenched with frustration. "I was confident I would stop them before they could react. You are definitely not ordinary soldiers." Fujiwara narrowed his eyes at Omega, suspicion burning. "Who are you?" You are the one who called me here." Omega's face twisted with pride. "Huh, I am an experimental subject born here," he added, chest swelling with arrogance. "Until recently, I was called Subject Omega AC. But from now on, I will be one of the 12 Shajin. They even fed me some really good stuff." Fujiwara froze, stunned. "A fake Shajin." Omega spread his arms and laughed, the name rolling off his tongue like a proclamation. "Gibalges. That is what everyone calls me now." His eyes glowed a deep red, mouth stretched into a crazed grin revealing razor-sharp teeth. "Let us play, humans." Fujiwara ground his teeth, tightening his grip, his stance rigid as he faced Omega, tension radiating from every line of his body. Omega threw his arms wide and howled with glee. "Gibalgs Omega, the 12 Shajin Gibalgs. That is what people call me now." He curled a smirk and, half-teasing, provoked Kaido. "Let us play, humans." Kaido stayed on guard, studying his opponent. Gibalg, one of the 12 Shajin, huh? Suddenly he recalled the man named Izumo he had met earlier. A question kept nagging at him. The guy called Izumo, who'd been speaking from the observation room, was not he one of the 12 Shajin Tuji? Had known, was this guy one of them too? While his enemies kept their defenses up, Omega chatted away casually. He rambled on about his name and what the 12 Shajin meant. He glanced toward Tuji and tossed out a few idle words. "This must be the magnificent fellow they call Gungnir, right, and I kind of like his replacement or whatever." Hearing that, Kaido could not hide his surprise, a successor to Gungnir. Omega noticed the flash of recognition on Kaido's face and immediately probed. "That expression just now, you know him, do not you?" Having read his opponent, he laughed loudly, delighted. "This is fun. It is the first time I have ever talked to an outsider." Omega went on pontificating with obvious relish, oblivious to the fact that Raoul behind him had his gun trained. "You know, humans are really interesting. They laugh at tiny things, they cry, they get angry, they feel. There are billions of people in this world, I can't wait to get out and slaughter them all." Raoul watched everything from behind, uneasy. Who the hell was this guy? But Omega was careless in opening. Out of nowhere, Omega warned him without bothering to look back. "You can shoot, sure, but that sort of thing won't kill me." Then he suddenly launched himself up, one leg wrapped in bandages, and screamed, "Since I was born, let us have fun together." He vanished into the choking ruins and howled like a wild animal. Raoul coughed angrily in the ash and smoke. "That bastard, you can't see a damned thing." Through the dust and grime, Kaido suddenly shouted, "Raoul, watch out." Raoul spun and barked back, furious. "What?" Before he could finish, Omega exploded out of the smoky haze and launched a direct attack at Raoul's face. Raoul was caught off guard by the assault and was flung out of the fight before he could defend himself. "Gaha," he shouted. Seizing the chance, Kaido closed in on the stitched-faced man with blistering speed. He struck first with the knife in his hand, but Omega immediately dodged. Omega regained his balance in an instant and unleashed a powerful reverse kick aimed at Kaido. When Kaido avoided it, Omega hooped and flipped around in excitement, shouting that Kaido was awesome. He was clearly having a blast. Seeing Raoul suddenly rush back in to attack him, Omega praised him too. "You are tough as hell." Then Omega turned to Kaido, his tone suddenly almost gentle. "The dagger guy's strong," he said, "but there is something off about you. Hey, why not come at me like you mean it?" Kaido froze at the words. Omega kept talking to distract him. "Your last attacks were aimed at limbs, right? Even when you ran into those soldiers along the way, you did not try to kill them. Why's that?" Finally, with a sly look, he probed, "I mean, you would rather kill more people than hurt me, am I right?" While Kaido's attention wavered, Omega lunged for the vulnerable spot at the base of Kaido's neck. Kaido managed to dodge the surprise attack, but still ended up with a few shallow cuts on his hand. Omega, seeing he would drawn blood, laughed scornfully. Before he could keep gloating, Raoul suddenly appeared out of nowhere and jammed a stun baton into Omega's mouth. "You monster," Raoul barked. He activated the baton and Omega howled in pain as shocks ran through him. Omega retaliated without warning, however he stomped both boots into Raoul's face. Raoul was sent sprawling backward in pain just as before. Muttering about getting shocked every day, Omega spat out the baton and then shrugged as Kaido lunged at him, only to have Omega slip free. Omega slid back to create distance, muttering nonsense in a delighted voice. "The scent on you is tasty." He laughed madly and added with relish, "I like it blood and that murderous aura on you and your knife." It is so stimulating, especially since you keep protecting the weak. Kaido scowled and snapped at him in a voice full of anger. Shut the hell up. Even though he kept his face calm, Kaido could not help but marvel inwardly. Omega's toughness and raw power were truly on par with one of the 12 war gods. He silently sized up the opponent like a doctor watching a psychotic patient. The most troubling thing was that chaotic, unnaturally strong mindset, murderous intent, destructive instinct, curious malice, hatred of humanity. Reading it felt like poison seeping into his brain. Omega suddenly spoke to him, tone laced with mockery. No matter how strong you are, if you do not strike to kill, you won't stop me. He snarled that he would tear Kaido's chest open and laugh until his guts spilled out. That knife stick it straight into his heart right here. With that, Omega lunged at Kaido like a beast ripped free from its cage. Both of them took fighting stances, each thinking the same thing. Damn, this human's strong. Kaido fixed his gaze on Omega's fist coming for him. Then, slowly, he slipped out of the way, but his expression was colder than a jilted Capricorn's ex, utterly bored. Omega's punch missed and crashed full force into the wall behind him. While the opponent reeled, Kaido closed in. He mentally cataloged Omega's confusion, clumsy, brutish movements like a wild animal. Kaido raised the knife in his hand. Eyes steely, this was it. He counterattacked, slicing into Omega again, and again like cutting sashimi, there was no way he would lose. Not done, Kaido followed up with a brutal straight punch to Omega's chest. The blow sent Omega flying and slamming against the opposite wall. Blood poured from the wound. He screamed in agony. Seeing his opponent seemingly finished, Kaido began to withdraw. Omega's bone structure and musculature were abnormal, but Kaido had landed enough blows to paralyze him time to back off. Then, from the dust and haze, Omega's voice boomed across the battlefield, amazing. The way he declared it sent a chill down Kaido's spine. That move, how could Kaido have blocked his attack? Hearing that, Kaido felt something change, a creeping, horrible sensation. Could it be that Omega? Omega sneered at him, taunting, but you already know, do not you, I told you. Then he pointed at his chest, swollen and seemingly whole, challenging Kaido, stick it straight into my heart, go on. Kaido could not hide his surprise. His body was regenerating on its own. From afar, Izumo watched the entire battle through the screens, quietly smirking at the spectacle. Even the enemy seemed taken aback. He recalled the details of the creation he had overseen himself. Omega, subject C true to the name, the pinnacle of Avalon's superhuman enhancement project, and simultaneously the most unusual specimen. A living organism with both extreme regenerative abilities and a distinct, independent personality. Izumo's lips curled in a faint, ironic smile. I wonder if Argos even has a way to take down something like that. He mused quietly. Meanwhile, Raoul, regaining consciousness, swore under his breath. This bastard. He propped himself up against the wall with one hand, coughing up blood, his voice hoarse. Electric shocks won't work. And his wounds. They heal themselves. He is truly a monster. In that moment, Raoul's thoughts flicked to the young woman. Reika. He shook his head, muttering to himself, stop. Raoul. That is defying orders. Despite his exhaustion, he forced a grin and stood upright. Reika. This time, it is for sure. He opened a small box bag secured at his side and pulled out a syringe filled with an orange-colored enhancement drug. Kaido, watching, frowned in surprise. Raoul. What is that? Raoul answered hoarsely, NTF6X Neuromuscle Fusion Enhancer. I will show you, monster. This is what Argo's true strength looks like. As soon as the drug took effect, Raoul let out a primal roar, muscles bulging and aura flaring, overdrive activated, the true might of Argos unleashed.